I had Ronnie Cycli, bro.
Ronnie
Yeah,
Cycli.
relax.
Ronnie
Yeah,
Cycli is a legend in
Greece.
In
Lebanon.
Greece. In Lebanon. He's a legend. Ronnie Cycli.
And in South
By the way, didn't he have like one big dunk? But FYI, the audience hates it when we talk about sports and we open up with sports. Okay, so today we're doing a 2-hour session just on sports. But we're kidding with you. Anyways, I wish you guys were on with us when we were having a discussion. Gerard thinks that should be a topic of discussion on the podcast to start it off with. I'm sitting here with 2 single men. I'm married. So the discussion was, which country produces the most beautiful women?
It's a matter of global importance.
What I think the most beautiful women are produced in LaPorte, Texas. But outside of that, if you want to have the discussion, we can.
That's where your wife is from.
As my wife is from LaPorte High School, yes. So what do you think?
I got to tell you, man, I think it's absolutely neck and neck between Venezuela and Colombia, man. Like and you know what? I think thanks to the wonders of communism.
Venezuela and Colombia.
I think thanks to the wonders of communism, Colombia might have pulled ahead in the last 10 years because, eating dog's a bad look.
Now, here's the thing. Both of you guys have some experience. You played baseball and you traveled, which means I can already see you being like, a guy that got around. And Adam, your mom and I had a great conversation yesterday, okay?
Yeah.
She was encouraging me to, have some positive influence on you. I promised her I said behind closed doors, you're an incredible rabbi. You just don't want to tell her you're a rabbi. What do you think? Most beautiful woman in the world?
I think there's 2 ways we can go with this.
Here we go. By the way, everybody's listening. What do you think? I'm actually curious. We're looking at the comments.
I think, I would love to hear the comments. Number one.
Somebody said Assyrian. That's actually not bad. Assyrians make beautiful women.
There's 2 ways to look at this, I think. I'm not going to give you the outside beauty, inner beauty. I'm just going to give you,
There is no such thing as inner beauty because
if
there was an outside beauty,
when you speak like that, you're looking for a wife. So wait, he's transitioning. I respect it.
Here's
Go
the
for
deal.
it. Inner beauty.
You don't care about inner beauty until there's outer beauty.
With your small head, Gerard, you just go with your eyes only. Eyes only.
Goodness.
And maybe you're right with Colombia,
We were about
Venezuela,
to go in the right direction and
Croatia.
then you flipped it, but go ahead.
I'm a huge fan of banter.
Okay.
Banter.
Yeah?
So I like American women. I like banter. I like we're talking about subject. Ding, 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 ding. We got it.
I've been out with Adam a bunch, and it's incredible that the women who must have the most incredible banter all are about 5'6" and 115 pounds. There's the amount of. The amount of banter.
You got caught right there, buddy.
The amount of banter between these 23-year-old Cubans and Adam.
Why are you turning red? What is this causing you to turn red? I don't get it.
I love banter. That's why I'm attracted.
Maybe that's why you've only seen me out with them once or twice, because the banter wasn't that good and we had to move on.
Okay.
But I've heard.
So you're saying American.
I love American.
Well, what prompted this is my buddy Jason Fox, who was here over the weekend, was telling me that the best
good guy, by the way,
good
solid
dude,
guy,
man. Yeah, the best place he'd ever been in the world, he said, was Croatia, and that was the second time I had ever heard that. My buddy Christian, who's Albanian, told me.
How many countries have you been to? How many countries have you been to?
I've been to Canada, Mexico.
You've never been nowhere. If you start off with, I've been to Canada.
No, like I've only been. Colombia. I've been to, and that's it. So I've only been in North America, Central America, and the Caribbean and the north of South America. So
you have not left the Western Hemisphere.
No, I'd love to go to. I was supposed to go to Europe last year, but I got 2 years ago. But I had other plans, unfortunately.
So here's what we got. Irish women are not in your top?
So
Dude,
you've
the
been
Irish are known for being tough and being smart and being funny and good at banter.
I got Argentina, Colombia, Philippines, Sweden or Lebanon, Russia. You got to make an argument for Russia. Albania, Assyrians, Brazil, Chicago, another Assyrian.
Chicago, actually low-key beautiful women.
By the way, 3 people said Assyrian. So at this point, the poll is over with. It's done. I think the most beautiful women are, let me do the math here, 25% Assyrian, 25% Armenian, father born and raised in Iran, mom white from Texas, 80% British. I think that's the best combination. Her name is Senna.
I was going to say, it sounds a lot like Senna.
Senna in Brooklyn.
She is turning into a beautiful girl.
Senna has some personality, man. And your Facebook clips with her are hilarious.
So what car you want to buy?
She's sassy.
I want a Ferrari. What color? Pink. So you want to buy pink? Rainbow. I said, who's going to buy it for you? You. Why? I don't have any money. She's so cute.
Save that money, Senna.
Anyways,
you said Russian, by the way. I know we're going to move on. I feel like Russian, you're either like a 5'11" supermodel, or you're like a babushka grandma that don't speak the gukta soup.
But they're great at banter. So who cares? For you, because you like banter.
You give me the 5'11" supermodel that's got good banter. We can
By
talk.
the way, if you get the 5'11" supermodel who's strong that can put you in your place, it may be an interesting relationship right there. All of a sudden you see, can you imagine Adam starts dating a girl. Every time you go out, Adam's very quiet. You go to dinner. Adam's not saying anything. She says, say something. Say something. Adam's just quiet. Hi, how are you, dear? Can I get you something? I can see that happening.
I told you not to talk. Yeah.
Well, I tell you,
sorry, boy.
You've been to a lot of different countries.
Yeah,
you've been to how many? 20 plus?
I don't know.
You've been all over the world.
I've been all over Europe.
Yeah.
I've been to Australia. I've been to South America.
Yeah.
I've been all over United States.
Beauty, not for relationship, just pure looks. What was the most beautiful woman you saw? Where? Just on looks.
I would say I was in Mykonos, Greece, and that's pretty ridiculous over there.
Really?
Yeah.
Greece. Yeah.
So.
I think Croatia is at the top of the list.
I got an idea. Gerard and I hit the scene. We go all over Europe. We do some man on the street
We
stuff.
send a camera guy to you with a drone. Zach in there as well. You guys go.
We do some anti-communist
What
banter.
a stressful job, though. It's too stressful. I think it's too stressful for you.
Need some massages to make sure it's legit.
I worry about you guys.
Kai's going to be very upset if we don't talk about the
I will say this, the Continental
Swedes and
48.
Here we go.
I've been to 43 of the Continental 48.
You've been to 43 continents.
Yeah, no, 43 of the Continental. I've been to 43 continents, 3 planets, all of it on mushrooms, by the way. But the best looking women I've seen in America is South Florida, by far. I think it's pretty. And then California's going to come at me hard on this one. I think South Florida is.
I lived in California 24 years. I'm still going to say South. Well, it depends on your taste. South Florida is legit. It can compete.
We're doing okay down here.
I think you are. Yeah.
But everyone up in New York who's watching this,
your wife comes
stay
from
in New
Chicago.
York. You want no part of this.
Well,
stay in New York.
Charles Barkley would say the
that.
best looking women are out of San Antonio. You ever heard a story about that or no? He said, I never like playing at the Spurs.
Oh, because it's the worst.
Because I could never party afterwards. And by the way, he goes a little bit more detail if you want to find out about it. You can do your own due diligence on. By the way, what's this color behind me? I've never seen this color. Is that a red light behind me? Go on that again. I've never seen that red light.
Yeah,
legit. Is that like a message? Are you sending a message that we're more red than blue? Is something going on?
We got a blue light over here already.
Okay.
Jesus.
All right. So we got a lot of stories to cover. We got a lot of stories to cover. One, Fauci said he thinks it's a good idea to have airlines mandate vaccination cards, the passport. Maybe we can talk. I know you got some stuff to say about that. Maybe we'll talk about that. Children speak to voice speakers more than their grandparents.
It's insane.
That's problematic. Billionaire entrepreneur Mark Allor wants to build a nation's first woke city. First woke city. Okay, I'm curious to know what that looks like.
I've already bought a ticket.
I'm sure you have. By the way, they have an invitation. They have an invitation for you. Amazon offers to pay college fees of 750,000 frontline U.S. workers. Okay, I have an idea what would be better of them doing that. Maybe a better idea for them. The war in Afghanistan. Ready? Cost Americans, taxpayers, $300 million a day for 20 years. Can you imagine like that number? You just kind of say it. $300 million a day for 20 years with big bills yet to come. College students were chanting a beautiful chant for Joe Biden over the weekend. So that tells you the audience of college football. What was the chant, by the way? It was
love Joe Biden.
Love Joe Biden, except with a different four-letter word.
F Joe. I thought they were
Joe
saying,
Biden.
"Good luck, Joe Biden. Good luck,
to
Joe
you."
Biden. Luck, Joe Biden.
What a positive.
Luck, Joe Biden. I was
Yeah.
like, all right, these guys are nice. They're
Sweet.
wishing
good
Biden
people.
luck.
Good people.
That's good for you.
What a
buddy.
man.
I like your attitude. I like your attitude. Okay. Right now, if you're in Portland, one high recommendation for you guys. If something happens to you, do not call 911 because apparently it's taken 5 minutes for cops to show up in Portland amid staff shortages. We'll talk about that as well. Maybe this defund police idea wasn't working. Janet Yellen said to us, we don't have to worry about any kind of debt or inflation or anything. However, she warns of a possible October default on U.S. debt swollen by the pandemic. What happened in 6 months? What happened in 6 months? New York hospital to pause delivering babies after workers quit over vaccine mandate. Okay. Joe Manchin, again, he ought to run for office, man. I don't think he's going to do it, but I think if he ran for office,
president, you mean?
I think he ought to.
Because he already holds office. You mean
no, I'm sorry, to run for president. Yes, so you ought to run for president because I think he'd be surprised on how many people he'd get. I mean, if the options are slim, he may get a lot of people.
There's something to be said about not being an extremist on one side or the other and just kind of playing it safe in the middle.
Well, listen, when we were having dinner with Matt Walton, he said Joe Manchin's pretty much a Republican. I don't know if you remember that. He said, and you also said that as well a little bit. You said Joe's.
I'm a huge fan of Joe Manchin. That's kind of where I am politically.
Closet Republican, but so it is what it is. So Joe Manchin said there's no way to pass a $3.5 million budget by September 27th. Reform California chairman on recall election. Obviously, the recall is, I think, today with Larry Elder, everybody in California.
I know you've got some very strong feelings on that.
We can talk about that.
We've had Meet Kevin on. We've had Major Williams on.
We can talk about that.
It's a big deal.
Two other points we got. The Texas abortion law creates a kind of bounty hunter. We'll talk about what the Texas abortion law, because a lot of people are giving their opinions on it. Last but not least, we had Piers Morgan commented on this. We have the article on it. He says, it made me sick to watch a once male special forces combat veteran beat up a woman on TV. It's time to stop this trans sport insanity before women start being killed. And then a bunch of other things.
I don't know if we're going to cover it, but your friend Conor McGregor did another McGregor-esque thing.
Let's talk about that. What do you think about that? So what do you know about what happened? I mean, I'll read what the story tells us. There's multiple different versions of it on page 3. If you go to it. So they're at the show, right? They're at the show. MTV Music Awards. Conor McGregor reportedly tried to fight Machine Gun Kelly because MGK didn't want to take a picture with him. We know why Conor is angry at Machine Gun Kelly. On Sunday, videos of Conor McGregor trying to attack the rapper at the VMA surfaced on the internet. Sources connected to the situation pay that Conor asked MGK for a photo, which Kelly denied, and that apparently escalated into him pushing Conor, who stumbled back and spilled his drink. When he collected himself and whatever was left of his drink, Conor allegedly chucked the drink at Kelly, as well as Megan, who was nearby. Their prospective teams broke it up before things got ugly, and Conor was given his walking cane back, something that had fallen to the ground during the scuffle. Thank God he got his cane back. But
thank goodness.
Tell me, what do you think about what happened?
I think, just real quick, this guy, Machine Gun Kelly, is dating Megan Fox.
Who looks better than
by the way, what country is she from?
America.
America, damn it.
America.
Dick your Russian bullshit.
Megan Fox, known for phenomenal banter.
Just so you know, from the moment I'm telling you again, from the moment her and Shia LaBeouf were not in Transformers, I was done. I went on strike. I said, I'm done.
People don't know this, but in your top 5 actors of all time, Shia LaBeouf is in it.
Not top 5, but I'm a diehard. Listen, I'm also a diehard Edward Norton fan. I mean, I think these two guys are legit, but I like a Andy Garcia. I like some strange actors. I like John Bernthal. I think John is a beast of an actor. But yeah, I would say Shia is up there for me. But go ahead. So what do you think about what happened here?
So it was the MTV Music Awards. By the way, do you even watch that anymore?
No.
I don't watch the MTV Music Awards anymore.
Stop it. You were taking notes on your iPad.
I do watch the clips of it afterwards to see what's going on. I think Bieber won Artist of the Year.
Okay, I don't watch it, but I know Bieber won. Here we go.
I'm a Bieber fan. I'm a Bieber fan like you're a Shia LaBeouf fan.
But I also like Bieber. I think Bieber's a stud.
Well, name 3 songs.
Of Bieber?
Yeah.
I would have to, if you play, I probably can name you 40 songs. I don't know the name of the songs.
Okay.
But I like the one song he did lately.
Despacito.
About a year ago when he's sitting there by himself singing about being lonely as a kid, performing. Nobody was on the back with him. That messaging.
I think it was called Lonely, no?
Lonely. It could have been. Great. There's two versions of the video.
Pat, is it too late to say, I'm sorry?
No, I don't think it is.
Okay.
I don't think it is.
All right. What do you mean? These are Bieber songs. Anyway.
Baby.
And I'm a fan of Bieber. But anyway, I think
Are we going to get to the bottom of this?
Conor was there to, I think, introduce the song of the year. Anyway, he was there to introduce one of the categories. But he showed up, and I think the story here isn't Machine Gun Kelly. The only reason that Machine Gun Kelly is relevant, in my opinion, is because he's dating Megan Fox. If he was just some dude that was just this rapper, I think he'd be irrelevant.
That's not true, though. The dude had My Bloody Valentine. The dude took... he went from being a rapper with beef with Eminem to turning into the lead singer of Sum 41, and nobody even blinked an eye. Like he's actually pretty talented.
The fact that he has beef with Eminem it is laughable to me. He's nowhere close to being where the rap god level of Eminem.
But that one song he put was pretty legit. The lyrics he put up, that was actually not bad.
Machine Gun Kelly?
Yes.
Never heard it. I'm not a fan. I don't know it. Anyway.
I thought it was pretty decent.
He hates the land.
I think the story here...
He's from Croatia, just so you know.
No. Okay. Makes sense.
Go ahead. I have no clue if he's
Croatia,
from Croatia.
Cleveland.
No, I think he's from definitely America.
Croatia, Cleveland.
But it is impressive how Megan Kelly hypes him up. She calls him the most beautiful boy the most talented. Did I say Megan Kelly? I do love Megan Kelly. Megan Fox, by the way. Machine Gun Kelly, Megan Fox.
Just come out.
But here's the story, guys. What's your point? I think Conor is having a meltdown. I think Conor
He just needed to win. He needed to win. He saw a guy he could beat.
This skinny beanpole rapper. I think Conor his best days are behind him. He's made his money. You interviewed Dustin Poirier, and he said, quote unquote, it's kind of hard to get up and put in the work and run your miles when you're sleeping in satin sheets. something like that.
Yeah.
So I think Conor's made his money. He's made his name. He's
Yeah.
turning into more of a celebrity influencer. He's walking around with a cane.
Well,
His foot has fallen off. I don't know if he's ever going to fight at the level that he was. And this is sort of like a PR stunt to keep his name in the news. That's my 2 cents.
yeah, I haven't fought in 5 years, but even 5 years ago, guys I was fighting with that are really, really big names in the UFC, guys I was in like fight camps for and stuff like that, they would tell me, like, dude, never bet on McGregor ever again. Like, he parties too hard. He goes way, way too far. And,
Irish whiskey, bro. You know about that.
Yeah, basically Blanton's proper 12. But as a guy who drank way too much whiskey and did too many dumb things himself, until you get to a certain age where, you know, look, the problem when you're a good fighter and the problem when you're a bigger dude, even though Conor's not, but he's a very good fighter and he's very tough, and you're a boozer and you're doing whatever comes with the booze, you're a tornado of destruction. Nobody could stop you. See, one of the big problems, one of the reasons I don't drink hard alcohol anymore is because nobody could stop me, and I was good at drinking. So I wouldn't black out. I wouldn't black out. So where most other people would pass out, or, you know, somebody else would be able to grab them and throw them in a car, they couldn't do that with me. I was too big and I was too violent. And like I would just turn into a nonstop life-destroying menace until finally like it slows down.
Do you not get the irony here? You're wearing an Ireland green Irish shirt over here.
You know what? That's a horrible
Irish
That's a
whiskey.
horrible stereotype,
Look,
Adam.
we're going there.
like it would be like me saying a Jewish guy goes on radio every day saying, "Save that money." Like it's a
Well, it's true. Pat, you've interviewed Dustin Poirier. I know you're a fan of Conor. What's your take on all this?
I don't know. I think you know, if you look at it from, there's a few different ways to look at it. Number one, it's very hard. One of the hardest things to do is when you're this happens to a lot of different people, but when you're extremely attractive and all of a sudden you get to an age and you're not getting the attention you got, psychologically that messes with you.
Women all the time.
Oh my gosh. That, by the way, it's torture.
Yeah.
It's torture. And that's why sometimes a young boy can always, you know, sometimes get together with a older woman, 45, 50, because it's a confirmation from the older woman to say, a 22-year-old is still attracted to me. It's not
Ashton Kutcher and Demi Moore.
It's a form of confirmation, right? By the way, it happens to everybody. So that's one example.
It's a great angle.
This is paralleling Tyson pretty tightly, though,
yeah,
isn't it? Right?
Yeah. So then, by the way, even Tyson talked about McGregor. Tyson talked about McGregor in the interview. Tyson's interview has got to be one of my top 5 interviews of all time. The guy was hilarious, by the way.
That the plane reference was the funniest thing.
He was just hilarious. Period. Yeah.
Can't cancel me. I got my own plane.
So and then so that's the women's side, right? And then for athletes, you go from a Lamar Odom. Are you kidding me? You're a champion. You're a Laker. Everybody's following you. All of a sudden, nobody like. When's the last time you Googled Lamar Odom?
Yeah, he fought Aaron Carter.
Actually, answer that question.
the
When's the
weirdest
last
fight
time you Googled Lamar Odom?
He got
I don't know if I ever
Kardashian
did.
and he got
Done. Right. So
eaten up and chewed up and spit out on the other side.
So, but think about how many times that happens to athletes. It's tough. Psychologically, it's tough, right? It happens to boxers. It happens to athletes. And there's a part of it that I think it's the fault of the game. It's the fault of the sport. It's the fault of somebody not shaping the character of that becoming a reality. At dinner with a couple this week, and incredible dinner. We were at Eddie V's. And their 3-year-old daughter died. They're on vacation.
Wow.
They come back. They have no idea what's going on. All of a sudden, their 3-year-old dies. By the way, I mean, you know, we're talking, right? It went to a complete different angle, story-wise. And he sits there, and I'm like, I couldn't even talk to him the entire night. Like, to me, my stomach hurt. I was just feeling
just
like,
hearing this now.
I don't even want to hear about it, right? But my stomach hurts. I'm like, you know, I can't even eat the food. We're ordering nice food, and it's like they're just sitting there being very, you know, Christian family. They're being strong about it, and they're like, listen, it was very tough, but we had to overcome this and all this stuff. And they said the one thing that that parents don't do enough talking to their kids about is the idea of death. It says because you don't even think about it. Now that took me immediately back when I was 6 years old, and we're getting bombed on, and my dad sat down and talked to me about dying. Like, what is the matter with this guy? He's saying one day I'm going to die. I said, no, you're not going to die. He says one day I'm going to die. He says you have to understand that if I die, you have to be happy. I said, why do I have to be happy? He said, because you had 6 years with your dad. Many people don't even have a dad in their lives. I said, you mean to tell me when your mom dies, you're not going to cry? He says, no, I'm thankful. I've had my mom for so many years. I'm going to be happy with the smile on. I said, no, you're not. He says, watch me. So his mom dies at 72 from cancer. And I go and I see him because, you know, as a kid, as a boy, I've been watching this man for my entire life. So I'm like, let me see how much this guy's going to be real with me or not. And I watch him. He had a smile on his face.
Your dad.
And he had a smile on his face. His
what
eyes,
a guy,
freaking my dad. He had a smile on his face. His eyes are filled up. And I'm looking at this guy. I'm like, what a freaking man you are, right? And he's telling stories and he's saying all these great things about, you know, my mom this, my mom that, my mom this. Like, you got to freaking appreciate this guy. So there is lessons in somebody like a Dana sitting there having the serious conversation. I think the sports game got to do that. I think somebody's got to do that with women, with celebrities, to say, Conor, here's where you are. Let me just kind of paint this picture for you, and you tell me what you want to do. You've lost 3 matches alone in a row, okay? You're now getting unnecessary attention you don't need. The last time you got unnecessary attention like this is when you threw that, what do you call it, in the bus, right? It wasn't a chair. It was a, what was it? It was
the bench, and he ended that poor guy's career with the cut red.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, and what are you doing it for? Is it attention? What do you do? And then you go and you come out with your drink and you punch the guy in the face at a bar.
Old dude.
And then later on you buy that bar, and the old dude didn't even flinch, by the way.
Yeah.
He just continued, right? So some of these meltdowns, someone has to have a serious conversation. Now, here's the other part. If he doesn't receive it, the onus is all on who? On the individual.
Yeah.
And then you got to say, look, we had the conversation. He still chooses to live this life. But I think Conor has an opportunity right now because he's so big right now with his name. If he figured out a way to transition into another field, if he was able to do it, look at Daniel Cormier. If he was able to do it, the world forgets about all the look at how many times Cormier lost at the end. Cormier's done. He's a guy that's going to get that respect. He's just got to figure out a way to go there. But I don't think the kind of attention that he was getting for that 5-year period, 7-year period, I don't think that's coming.
You brought up
soon.
a lot of amazing points, Pat. You know, everything with your dad is incredible. It's emotional as well. Something to be said about Conor is when you're winning, you can kind of get away with some of the antics, right? Some of it is justifiable. It's almost marketing PR. But when you're losing, it just seems sad.
Desperate, yeah.
And desperate.
Well, there's two parts of that, man. Well, the first part is, I've talked to you about this. I have a theory, and it's, I think guys do self-destructive things in these positions because it's easier for someone like Conor, a high-level athlete, a high-level performer, to say, oh man, if I only didn't drink, or oh man, if I only didn't do this or do that, I could have gotten my comeback. And
they're looking for an excuse and
yeah, they're giving themselves an out. There's a lot of guys I played with, man. There's a lot of dudes that I feel like they did these things because it's easier to be seen as still having that potential, as potentially I still could have done it if only I could have overcome these demons, as opposed to being like, man, I just don't have it anymore, or man, I'm just not good enough. And I think that's part of this. That's mental health. This is depression manifesting.
Yeah,
itself.
I don't disagree. Here's the other part that you have to be thinking about. When everybody was trashing Tiger, I'd say, do you even know what it is to be the greatest golfer in the world, and you're black in a white sport and you're crushing do you know what it feels like to be that guy? Do you know what it is to be the guy that from 2 years old, he was a guy that was going to be who he was going to become, and then his dad said, and then he becomes that guy. Do you know what it is to be person? How many people in the world have that kind of story outside of LeBron James? Maybe even LeBron James's father wasn't in a picture. So the point is, unless we know what it's like to be the guy that you get on a fight, hundreds of millions of people want to find out what the hell is going to happen. No one's going to understand it. So there's a part of it that Conor is going to say, who the hell are you guys to even know what I'm going through, right?
Sure.
It's always easier to give advice from the outside. So that's the other thing that we need to also consider, because we have no idea what it is to be the face of UFC for 5-7 years.
Bill Burr with one of the greatest bits of all time about that. Like, oh yeah? Oh, if you were in Tiger's position, you would have done differently.
Yeah.
like you've got a bus full of Swedish, Norwegian supermodels hunting you down to your Mercury Tracer.
To use your point right there, there's something to be said about being married in that position versus being single in that position.
Yeah.
I feel like for Conor, being married is probably a blessing for him. Stability, family. To be single, to be this wild, crazy fighter who likes to drink, that can
marriage
get
only matters if you care about being married.
I feel like he does
by the way, I tell you what, he may be doing
Tyson
stuff.
Tyson was married too.
But here's the difference. He may be doing stuff behind closed doors. I don't know. I don't speculate because that's not my world. I'm not in it. And people can say whatever they want to say. They can make it up about anybody. But you got to give him credit. His wife is everywhere with him. No matter where he goes, she's right next to him.
Right.
So there is a part of it where it's kind of like, look, salute. He puts the pictures. You know, he puts stuff from his family. It's not like he's hiding it. Some guys don't want to show that. He's kind of doing his part. So who knows? We'll see what's going to happen.
But is she being that stabilizing force, or is this a Bonnie and Clyde situation?
I don't know. We'll never know that. I will tell you this. Here's what I'm hoping. I am hoping he makes a comeback. He has a big victory, and then he says, here's what I'm doing, but I don't see that happening because today's model of boxing, he's going to go probably fight Jake because he's going to make $30 million on that. He's going to go fight Logan.
He should.
$50 million on that.
I want him in the booth so bad. I want Conor McGregor sitting next to Joe Rogan talking about
Conor McGregor and Snoop in the booth.
Oh, I would
one
watch
high
that.
as shit, one drunk as shit.
I would watch that.
That would be
That's
hilarious.
the show.
Okay, you guys only spent 30 minutes on Conor, just so you know. That was not even supposed to be a story.
I do appreciate that we didn't just
not even a
discuss
story.
the BS with Machine Gun Kelly. We actually went deep on it, and it was impressive.
Yeah, that's a good dialogue. By the way, did you see AOC goes to a dinner that's $30,000 to $35,000 a head to be there, and then she wears a dress. She wears a dress saying "tax the rich" after partying with the rich. She wears this dress that's $1,000, hanging out with millionaires and billionaires, and she sports this dress saying "tax the rich," and people go bonkers over it. What a noble human being she is.
Is it hypocrisy? What is the word for this?
Stupidity.
No, first of all, I will tell you what it is. Number one is genius marketing. Okay,
for her.
I
actually agree.
I think it's genius marketing. She's a genius when it comes down to marketing. I don't care what anybody says. They're pissed off because she comes up with these ideas. In the area of marketing, you couldn't have had a better person, a better marketer for the message of socialism. You couldn't have had a better marketer.
A rich girl who chose to vacation in poverty and gives a story about, I couldn't pay my bills because I was bartending in New York. First of all, anybody who knows anybody who bartends in New York, they make cake. All right, that's number one. Number two,
they spend it all on rent, so it's not like their their net worth is anything.
rent and other things. But she couldn't afford, right, to live her life because this is the part of the story that nobody ever talks about. She was spending all day volunteering on the Bernie Sanders campaign. She was an unpaid employee for Bernie Sanders. So she's telling capitalism is the worst. I had to work and I was overqualified and underpaid because Bernie Sanders didn't pay her well enough. She wants to talk like she's Jenny from the block. She's Jenny from Westchester. She went to BU, dude. Stop it with this. We got as a people, as a globe, we have to be able to look at something and say, this is basura. This is pure trash. Enough of this already. Tax the rich, $3,500. She spent $5,000.
$35,000.
$35,000.
$275 per table. Let me say this again. Yeah. It's $35,000 a person. $30,000 to $35,000. Each table was $275.
But people that are richer than me, I'm not rich. Don't be fooled by the rocks that I got. I'm just AOC from the block.
Here's the question. She shows up. There's probably a couple thousand people here. What's the storyline when she shows up? Are people shaking her hand? Are they giving her a hug? Give her a kiss? Is she a rock star there? Do they hate her? She's sitting in the corner. Are people being like, "We love you"? Like, what's the scenario there?
I think those who are holding up to messaging of Democrats, they have to agree with her whether they like it or not because they're worried about being canceled.
Oh my God, you're so right. You're so brave.
The fear of being canceled. Because here's how you got to do it. So what's more expensive, 50% taxes or losing those 3 movies? What's more expensive?
Yeah, the movies.
Yeah, who gives a shit about 50% tax? I can't lose that movie at $20 million a pop, $10 million a pop. So I'm like, listen, you're amazing. You're amazing, but it's a form of control. It is a form of cancel culture. The fear in actors, Hollywood, they're so worried about it. Very few of them are willing to come out and say, this woman's lost her freaking mind, because if they do that, they can potentially lose the next job that's coming out in Hollywood. Everyone in Hollywood's afraid right now, except for some of the guys that are stepping away, saying, look, we don't give a shit what you're going to be doing. We're going to do our own thing, and we don't need you guys anymore. We're going to do our own thing. Yeah. I think there's a coup going on in Hollywood as well, low-key.
You've got Bernie Sanders. All right, Bernie Sanders, not 1, not 2, but 3 houses, makes $1 million. He donates less than 1% of that. Less than 1% he donates. When the one journalist left in America asks him the question, it was like, so what would you say to people who are claiming hypocrisy with your crusade against the rich when you are in fact rich? Well, if they wanted to be rich, they should have wrote a book. Like, oh, okay, that's the answer. How much money has she made off this tax to rich merch? She is the most capitalist in D.C. She's got an entire tax.
She's a great marketer.
And I'm going to tell you what's going on.
She'd make a hell of a CMO.
This is the truth.
Hell of a CMO.
Do you see this right
By the way, we'd hire her right now. if she could set aside her socialistic tendencies, we'd hire her right now.
You see this right here? This is the crux of all the issues, gentlemen. This right here, she's a Latina from the Bronx, ain't got no booty. That's what's happening here.
Oh, Gerard went there.
She needs to redistribute.
You're about to be canceled.
She needs to redistribute. She saw. Look, if anybody's ever been in a BX, anybody's ever been uptown.
Here we go.
You get a Dominican.
You just got personal, bro.
You got a Dominican or a Puerto Rican girl. They walk in hips first everywhere they go.
Gerard.
She got upset. She's mad. She's mad. This is why she wants to.
There's a level of vaccine you don't talk about. He went there.
He went there.
She needs to redistribute.
Puerto
the butt
Rican
cheeks.
without a booty. He went there. It's funny. You bring up the Bernie Sanders thing, and I'm not a fan of Bernie, but I will say this: if you're freaking 80 years old and you've been making, I don't know, what do you get paid, 180 grand a year, and you don't have any money, you don't have a house.
He's never had a real job. But he's only ever worked off of the government dole.
Regardless, that's his job. Okay?
He's a parasite.
Whatever he is, the point is this: if you're 80 years old and you're still broke, that's probably a bigger problem. At least he's
broke.
He's not. That's my point. He's like, to have a house and to be a millionaire at age 80 is not that big of an accomplishment. Congratulations, you've saved 10% of your income. And
tell you this.
You get your benefits and your pension. It's not that big of a deal.
She has a 10 to 20% chance of being a president in the next 20 years. Remember when I said this?
What are the chances that she gets Gerard's vote?
Dude, the Green New Deal, it's gonna pass.
Yeah.
Like, she's winning.
She's got 10 to 20% chance of being a
AOC
president.
Antoinette, let them eat brunch. She doesn't need our vote. By the time she becomes
That's a good
president,
one. Let them eat brunch.
Let them eat brunch, bro.
She's the French Revolution.
AOC Antoinette over here.
I like that parallelogram you did right there.
It's a parallels.
Yeah, so let's go to this Mark Lohr story. Billionaire entrepreneur Mark Lohr wants to build the nation's first woke city. I actually want to know what this looks like. So can you actually pull up the article to see if they show any images on there?
It's about 60 years too late.
Former Walmart executive and e-commerce billionaire Mark Lohr wants to build the world's first woke city from scratch. Somewhere in the U.S., we are going to be the most open, the most fair, and the most inclusive city in the world, Lohr said in a promotional video. The city is meant to take on what Lohr's view on the United States, the biggest challenge, the rapidly growing wealth gap, which he said is going to bring down America. The initial phase of the project, targeted for completion by 2030, would be built to accommodate 50,000 residents across 1,500 acres at a cost of $25 billion. Over 40 years, the city will eventually require $400 billion in funding and grow to house as many as 5 million people across 150,000 acres. If it's so effective, why do you need to be funded? Why do you need to be funded to build this woke city? That's what it's going to look like, by the way. Take a look at that. Wow. What a beautiful woke city that is, that needs funding from other taxpayers who are not woke.
Oh, wow.
So the only way a woke city model works, that it's funded by people who are not woke. Brilliant.
I love when the 17-year-old communist always talks about how the only reason why Cuba was unsuccessful was because of the evil embargoes from the United States. And it's like, whoa. This communist utopia needed their capitalist neighbor? What? You're not making the argument you think you're making here, man.
Have they said what state this would be in?
I would imagine Oregon, next to Portland.
Kai, can you actually go to the article to see where they're thinking about city-wise? As long as it's not in Florida and Texas, we should be fine. We just go. I'm looking to see.
And it's called Telosa. Is that a play on Tesla?
Called Telosa. Telosa. From the ancient Greek
highest
word
purpose.
telos, meaning highest purpose. The mission of Telosa is to create more equitable, sustainable future. That's our North Star. We're going to be the most open. Okay, I read that. Equitism. Residents in turn own their own homes on the land and are enriched as home value increases according to the project site. And after a period of hypergrowth, residents can buy the land from the community endowment. Okay, if you went into the desert where the land was foundation. Okay, we don't know. Well, folks, if you're listening to this, anybody planning on going to this woke city?
It sounds like Burning Man. That's what this sounds like.
What it sounds like is you're going to get a mortgage from the city instead of a bank. It sounds exactly like what we have now, except your mortgage is to the city instead of the bank.
These guys have lost their mind, by the way, to do something like this. By the way, here's what I'm willing to do. Why don't we do this?
See, hold on real quick, Pat. That stuff I don't mind. Like when they start talking about New York City, every rooftop in New York City should be solar or you should have plants on it. I'm totally okay with that.
Well, there's only one problem I have with this. I actually say go do it. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, here's what I think we ought to do. You go do yours. Let us go build our own city. Let us build our own city. You go build your own. Let's make it a project. Let us go 20 years.
Sure.
We build our own city. Give us 1,500 acres. You get 1,500 acres. We get 1,500 acres.
We get 49 states. You guys get California. If communism works in 20
by the
years.
way, I'm actually being dead serious. Yeah. If we got 1,500 acres, we got our own land that we would build. They get their own 1,500 acres.
I couldn't agree with you
Here's the difference. There's only one caveat here. One caveat. There can be zero funding from the government. Zero funding from taxpayers. You do your woke city. We do our own free thinker city. Let's see 20 years what happens. Okay, let's just see 20 years what happens. We can do whatever we can do. 20 years later, let's see what we produce.
Sure.
Let's see what you produce.
A city full of people that
let's
don't
see what kind
work.
of people we produce, and let's see what kind of people you're going to produce.
Word.
And who ends up recruiting who from which city. Your woke city versus the free thinker city.
You know, there was a movie that this reminds me of. One of my favorite actors is Leonardo DiCaprio. And I don't know, 10 plus years ago, he did a movie called The Beach.
Yeah.
Which was supposed to be like this this paradise.
Crazy
I think it took place in Thailand, I want to say. He was Googling
Dark
paradise.
movie.
And he shows up, him and a friend and another girl, and they go to this city, and it's this paradise, and it's, you know, egalitarian, and everything's beautiful, and the most pristine beaches in the world, and you're hunting and killing and finding your own food, and then it takes a very ugly turn. And where...
Human nature kicks in.
Yeah, human nature kicks in. And what's the movie where the kids, they're all on the island and they kill the fat kid because they speak with a conch? What was that movie? What was the book?
I know what you're talking about. You're talking about Lord of the Flies.
Lord of the Flies.
Yeah.
Very Lord of the Fly-esque type of situation. The bottom line is it starts off in this paradise type story, and it's looked amazing. And by the end of the movie, everyone was freaking dead, and the guys came in and killed everybody.
That's what's going to happen with this woke
city. Very ugly.
The only way
disgusting.
communism will ever work. Yeah. The only way communism will ever work. Two things have to happen. They have to take over the entire world. They have to have control of all access to opportunity worldwide. And two, they have to do set marriages from the time you're born. Lottery marriages. Because everything, literally everything that we do, everything that our species has ever done has been a competition for ovaries. That is what it is. Everything from Helen of Troy. Helen of Troy decided to go with a younger, better-looking prince, and the king of Macedonia said, screw that, and brought 1 million troops over to Troy in 20 years. And a 20-year war.
That was in the Brad Pitt movie, Orlando Bloom. That's what it was, yeah.
It's a little bit of an older book, but yeah. So
I know. The movie was called Troy. I get it. I know it was based.
It's the Iliad, the Odyssey.
It was Brad Pitt,
It's
right?
Homer.
No,
it's fine. But yeah, no, it was Robert Zemeckis. No, but listen, literally, think about it. Everything that we do. Why do you work so hard? You work so hard to provide for your family. Why do you work out? I have been in very good shape with abs. I have been very, very fat. I'm getting back down again. Do you know why? Because there's benefits to being in better shape. You understand? Everything that we do as men, everything, or 90% of us, there's 10% that don't play that game, but 90% of men, everything that we do is to attract the other species. If you aren't going to be born 6'9", 275 pounds, then you have to figure out a way. Warren Buffett said it best. Warren Buffett, when he talks about taxes and why he wants to give back, he's like, because I am very, very lucky that I grew up in a time where my intellect allowed me to generate wealth, because if the only way I could generate wealth was getting on a boat and storming the seas, I wouldn't have been very wealthy. I'd been very dead. So that's his idea of giving back, right? Everything that we do, everything capitalism really is fair play.
Good for him, by the way.
Yeah.
Good for him for saying that.
It is a fair play system to be able to compete against
one
another.
Give us 1,500 acres. I'm telling you right now, if we got 1 million people in a small little country, test it out with us. Give us 20 years, see what we do. The world would want to live in our country.
Yeah.
Okay.
It would be called America.
But here's the thing: America is no longer America.
Oh no.
America, unfortunately, is going in a different direction. The ideas, but there are a few things at the beginning as a case study that America could have done slightly different.
Hold on. What do you mean America's no longer America? You can't just say that and then we just gloss over it.
No. What are you talking about?
America's still America.
America is still the greatest country in the world, but America is no longer the America. America is not the America that I came to America for. Lots changed the last 30 years. A lot's changed the last 30 years.
Lots changed the last 18 months.
Yeah, a lot's changed. This is do you realize? I don't know if you really realize this. If I told you 10 years ago, the president's going to say, I'm sick and tired, I'm losing patience with these governors who are not mandating vaccine and who are not getting their people to get vaccinated. If I told you 10 years ago,
this isn't about your
in
freedom.
about 10 years, in 2021, a guy's going to come out with named Tony, okay, who's in his 80s, who's going to say, we have to mandate vaccine. If I told you 20 years ago, Nicki Minaj decides to not go to an award ceremony because she says one of her friends from Trinidad, one of her relatives in Trinidad, got a vaccine, and afterwards they couldn't have a kid because something happened. And anyways, she says, I'm worried. I'm doing my research, but I'm getting closer to feeling confident to take the vaccine. I'm willing to do my own research. And she decides not to go to award ceremony because they wanted people to be vaccinated. Then a lady from CNN, CNBC, I don't know which one it was, MSNBC, she says, you have a lot of followers. It's a shame. You have 22 million followers. I have 2 million followers. Shame on you for using Twitter to tell people that you could have done something about this, yet people are dying.
Yeah.
If I told you 10 years ago.
How dare you be your own person?
But if I told you 10 years ago that the idea of choices is going away, would you have said that's possible? Would you have said that's going to happen to America? The idea of having a choice is going away.
I see what you're saying there.
So that's
the whole point is having the option or having the choice.
Bro, like the biggest...
Nobody likes mandates being told what to do.
Let me ask you a question.
But at the same time, you can't just say, I have the choice to run the red light. I do what I want. It's like, no, there's laws.
Well, you do have the choice.
Right, exactly. I mean, then you go to jail or you car
story of my life. I have the choice, though. I'll pay the ticket. It's a story of my life. My license got suspended twice. It's my choice. It's fine, right? I have a choice. Certain areas, yes. But for me to have to put something in my body, that's not my choice.
I'm with you. You should have the choice.
Yes,
and it's not about the medicine, guys.
It's about the
reaction to the medicine. It's the government reaction.
I'm talking to a guy named Michael Shermer. I don't know if you know who Michael Shermer is. Michael Shermer's got he wrote that book, said Weird Things. What's the book called? Something about weird things. Anyways, very interesting guy. He went from being a Christian to being an atheist, to being an agnostic. Okay, the guy's got great ideas on what he talks, but he pushes everything back. Christianity. We had a very strong debate yesterday. He says, you know what's crazy? He says, for about a year and a half, you couldn't question the fact that the COVID may have come from China until it took a comedian to go on Stephen Colbert to talk about it, where the world finally said, we can talk about it. John Stewart. He says, how is that even possible? So freedom of speech in the last 24 months, very weird. Choice, very weird. These are real fundamental stuff that makes America great. These are the things that have changed. And there's a part of it where you're worried whether people are willing to fight back or just sit there because at the end of the day, what's the first thing people think about? How do they make their decisions? They make their decisions with what?
What's the best for their family or themselves, right?
Typically, what's in it for them. So why do you think this whole idea of tax the rich is so popular? Because 90% of the country is not rich. So they're like, I don't give a shit. Go to tax everybody.
Right.
But 30 years ago, the whole idea was what? Man, one day I'd love to be what? Rich.
Yeah.
It was the story of the life of the rich and famous. People aspire to. It was like man, let me go one day get this kind of a lifestyle. Let me one day go to a party like this. Today's the other way around.
Do you think people really think $3.5 trillion in taxes are about to be levied against the American public, and it's only going to be the rich?
I got a call early this morning.
Seriously?
No, it's going to destroy everybody. Well, a small business that's making $500,000 a year. You saw Kudlow talk about it. A small business that's making $500,000 a year. You know what it means to increase their capital gains? By the way, they're already talking about they're going to backdate it to yesterday. Like this morning, I was talking to Greg. They're talking about they can backdate capital gains to yesterday. Top line taxes they're raising to 39.6. They're adding an additional 3% for people that make over $5 million a year. And then on top of that, the small business taxes, that's also being risen by, I think it's like 6.5%, some number like that. 6% they're increasing it.
But this is just a proposal. This is nowhere near passing.
It's no longer just a proposal now. It's getting to a point that it could be passed before 1/1.
The only thing that's stopping it is Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin is the only thing
He's literally the only person. Again, he's literally the only person that's doing. So when you ask me about America, a lot's changed the last 24
People
months.
that think that this is only going to be the rich need to look at one thing. All right, I sent you guys this last night. Biden directed the Treasury, his Treasury and the IRS, to start tracking all transactions for bank accounts as low as $600. Meaning if you put $100 in to Dogecoin and it's 6x, then you got $600.
Just for crypto only?
No, it's for everything, but it's also tracking crypto for the first time. You put $100 into whatever, to Dogecoin. You hit the lotto, $600, you pulled it out. All right, they're going to come at you for $150. You made a $100 investment. You 6x'd. Congratulations, kid. You're an 18-year-old. They're going to want $150 in taxes on that, and then back pay. Like they're coming. So people that think that this is only, you know, a soak the rich type of a situation, bro, they're tracking you down to $600 in your account.
By the way, listeners, I got a question for you. To you, define rich. What is rich to you? I'm curious. Actually put a number to it, okay? Like, you know how they say this person's tall. What would you say is tall? What height would you say is tall?
Depends on where you are. But playing ball, like really...
What's tall in America?
Well, this is the thing. So, you know, when Hillary Clinton was coming out with this whole, if you're a dual family in America and you make a combined $100,000, you're wealthy. This was like 8 years ago. I remember I was playing ball in Iowa at the time, and I was like, you know what? $100,000 in Iowa, you're pretty rich. $100,000 in North Jersey, you're just paying the bills.
What would you say is tall? What's tall in America?
I get what you're saying, is that there's no exact answer.
Is it 6 feet? Is
it
it 11?
Tall, then you could say 6'10" is tall.
I think 6 is tall.
I don't think 6 is tall. I think 6 is above average.
5'10" is the average male's height in America. 5'9", 5'10".
5'9".
Okay, 6 is tall.
I'd say anything over 6'3" is tall.
No, I don't. I think you're 6. That's what you're saying too, because you are 6. I think 6 is tall. But here's the thing. What is rich? I'm actually curious what people say here. $1 million is rich. $10 million is rich. $5 million is rich. $100 million at least. Daniel says $10 million in assets. Over $1 million, says Valeria. Over $1 million. Okay, Augustine says $5 million.
So if you have $1 million, what is that? That's $50,000 a year for 20 years. That's what you're.
But here's the point, though. Corey McDougall says $300,000. Ethan Eads says $35,000. Ricky Aguirre says $500,000.
Yeah, Ricky Aguilar.
No, not Ricky Aguilar. Ricky Aguirre. Ricky Aguirre says $500,000. Here's the point.
Yeah.
Who the hell decides what's rich?
Right.
Okay, because to me, AOC, when I was working at Bally's, AOC's rich. Are you kidding me? Because when I worked at Bally's, the guy I was looking up to was a guy named Robbie Solomon. He had been at Bally's for nearly 20 years. He was an area supervisor, something everyone aspires to be. Guess what he was making? $150 a year after 20 years. And the pitch was, Patrick, one day you can be an area supervisor. One day you can be an area supervisor making $150 a year. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, wow, $150 freaking a year? Are you kidding me? This is insane if I make that kind of money. Because I was making 36.
Right.
$150 is a lot of money. But you know what it is when you make $150? It ain't a lot of money. So what is rich? And who defines what's rich?
Yeah.
On a global scale, everybody in America is mega wealthy.
Everybody in America is rich, right?
On a global scale.
But the challenge with that is a politician dictates what's rich. A politician dictates, to me, the average person, I'm sorry, Nancy Pelosi is super rich. Elizabeth Warren, rich. Super rich. You got Bernie Sanders, super rich. You got AOC, rich. You got a lot of people that are rich. So who dictates what that number is? Is it like, you know how you said you're 6 feet and you said, I think 6'2" is tall? It's the same exact concept.
Right.
It's what
There's
they say.
No exact answer.
No. It's always more than what you have.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
That's
you just nailed it.
More
what
than me.
you did is what they do with taxes. It's always a little bit more than what you are. You naturally, I ask you, what's tall? You said what? 6'2". I don't think 6 is tall. I'm like, what are you talking about? Guy's like 5'9" and a half, 5'10". And you say what? No, I think 6'2" is tall. I said, no, 6 is tall, right? To them, they say, no. Elizabeth Warren, I'm worth $5 million. $20 million is rich. Then Nancy Pelosi makes a phone call to Elizabeth Warren. Hey, Elizabeth Warren, you can spend $20 million. I'm like, I'm worth 50. Why don't we do 75? $75 million is rich. What the hell is rich? Anything above you is rich. You make $2 million, $5 million is rich. So this is a bunch of bullshit with this whole concept of taxing the rich. Anything above them that they don't have to pay the price, let's tax those guys.
That's a really good point.
You don't run a business. You're not affected by capital gains. Screw the guys that get capital gains. Affect those guys. You're not affected by running a business, hiring people, raising the minimum wage. Who gives a shit? Raise minimum wage. It's okay. We're not affected by it. Let's raise the federal minimum wage to $15. In D.C., $15 is nothing. But in Iowa, $15 minimum wage is a lot of money. That small business owner got crushed by Walmart. That's the stuff that a lot of people
don't think. Saying,
over there progressives. Over there. I call them over there progressives.
Everything you're saying, it can be applied to any topic. The money thing, abortion, taxes you're talking about, schools, guns, the Bible, everything. As long as it's what they're doing and it's not me, it doesn't affect me.
Sure.
Like what's going on in Texas right now with abortions. No, you shouldn't be able to have abortion 6 weeks. It's like, well, what happened to the lady that was raped by her uncle and just incest in Texas, and she's found out, 2 months after. She has no say in this, so it's always something that doesn't happen to you and something happens to everybody. What is that called?
What you guys are
What is that?
What you guys are discussing is the very basis of my worldview. Why I believe the way I believe, right? And I'm a libertarian most of the way, except I don't believe in the non-aggression principle, right? But there is no way to centralize government. There's no way to take every single aspect of our society and filter it through the minds of these geniuses, which is what we're experiencing is an educational narcissism, the likes of which we've never seen. We have an entire system of people who went to school, and then they went to college, and then they went to law school, and then they became lawyers, and then they got elected, and they're in this cycle.
Can you pull up abortion? What percentage of abortions are rape?
So they get into this cycle where everybody throughout their whole life has told them they're smart and they're special. So now they think that they're so smart and so special that no matter how many times centralization has failed, they're going to be the ones that figured it out. They're going to be the ones that get it right this time. I don't believe that they can. I think there's too many variables at play. So what I believe in is you do you and I'll do me. Do no harm. If it doesn't affect me, you're welcome to do it. If you think that there is a real problem with income inequality in the world, help the poor. Don't steal from your neighbor and then give somebody else money. Oh, by the way, take a couple bucks for yourself for the effort, right? And say that you're doing something virtuous. You're not virtuous at that point, right? So anybody who wants to do anything, I'm the biggest advocate for charity. I'm the biggest advocate for volunteerism. Anything that you want to do, advocate for it, but stop short of mandating it. Stop short of making it a law.
Libertarian.
That's it.
Yeah. Here, look at this. USA Today, just 1% of women obtain an abortion because they became pregnant through rape. But less than 0.5% do because of incest, according to the Institute. Yet the battle over exceptions for both has garnered outsized attention in national abortion debate. Interesting. So 1% is rape, 0.5% is incest. So in the topic of rape, you kind of brought that up. But in this specific topic with taxing the rich, and the topic of taxing the rich, and people say, well, Pat, you're rich. I don't dispute it. I don't say I'm not rich.
That's also 1%.
But what I'm saying is I don't dispute it. But here's a different part. So I'm looking at the commentary, and one guy's like, hey, Pat, just say it, you're rich. I'm like, so who's debating that? I'm not. Who's not debating that? Here's the debate. The debate is the following. The debate is this guy came from a broken family, divorced. My out was the Army because I had a 1.8 GPA. So Jesus Guerra came and recruited me, and I was not a good athlete. So I can't get a full ride scholarship because I never disciplined myself to play sports, even though I was in shape, even though I was tall, right? So I go into the Army. I'm going to do 20 years. Then I go into 20 years. I get a phone call. A guy challenges me named Kogan, says, I think you can do more when you get out of the Army. I said, dude, I'm not getting out. I'm re-enlisting tomorrow. He calls me at midnight. Kogan Alaverdian, one of my best friends in the world. Sweetest guy. You've never met him. You'll meet him. You'll love this guy. So I go to sleep, try to go to sleep. I wake up in the morning, go to Lieutenant Colonel Peacocks, and I say, listen, I'm going to get out of the Army because I'm going to go pursue my dreams. But thank you for everything you got me. Everything he got that I wanted on my orders, he got me. Till today, I'm looking for Lieutenant Colonel Peacocks. He probably ended up being a general because the guy was a G, he was a leader. I get out. I struggle. First business, fails. Second business, fails. I tried a personal profit portal, internet, fails. All these things I do fails. I'm working at Bally's. I quit my job to try to do a business. I'm in debt $49,000. I go back to recruiting to say, if I go back into the Army, what would I get? Negotiations come in because there's a part of it that can pay off your debt if you sign in for 6-8 years. I'm like, that's great. I'll go back into the Army. Then I get this one message saying, hang in there. See what happens. A little bit longer. Hang in there. A little bit longer. Hang in there. A little bit longer. I hang in there. I applied to get a job at Morgan Stanley Deanwood. I applied 100 different places. I was hustling to get a resume in. I eventually got the job. They offered me 3 jobs. I went in without a 4-year degree, 2-year degree. I hadn't taken a test for 3 years because 4 years I'd gone out. I don't know what it is to take a test for 4 years, right? My brain's not been working with tests. My brain's been working with push-ups, pull-ups, all that stuff. I go take the Series 7 exam. I'm studying day and night. I don't know if I'm going to pass this. I'm taking a test. I press that button. You don't know what's going to happen. Morgan fires you if you don't pass the test. And when I'm pressing it, I said, if I fail, I'm re-enlisting to the Army today. I swear to God. And I press, boom, 30-second pause. It's a 6-hour test. Dude, I can't even tell you what my exam. I was in Culver City at the...
How old were you at this point?
21, 22 years old.
Wow.
I take the test December 12th of 01. So a couple months after 9/11. Result shows up, 78%. I said, no freaking way. 78%. Shit, I get to keep my job. So I go back and I show it to Morgan and say, look, you got 70. I said, I got 78%. It's like, damn, none of us thought you were going to get. I said, dude, I didn't think I would get 78%. Got 78% 1.8 GPA. Yeah. So then I work my ass off. My dad has a heart attack. Rather than partying 5 days a week, I put my head into the books and I start reading. A girl the other night, we're having dinner and everybody's talking about their school. So I went to this school. I went to that school. And I'm just enjoying all the conversations because, like, oh, I got my MBA, I got my master's, I got my PhD. I'm like, freaking, this is all. I'm the last one. This is sick. So, what school did you go to? I didn't go to college. No, come on, Pat. What's university? I'm telling you, I never went to college. I had a 1.8 GPA in high school. Community colleges wouldn't accept me. No way. You're too smart to not. Come on, what college? I said, I'm telling you, I read 2,000 business books. And I studied topics. So if I chose a topic, I bought 20 books on that topic, and I read just that topic, that subject for 2 months. Then I went to the next topic and the next. That's what I did. So some people who want to say the rich people have these special, gifts and all this other stuff, I'm sorry, you just don't want to read books. You'd much rather watch Netflix. So that argument is, I believe anybody can reach their capacity. Sure. Anybody has that shot, but it takes so much freaking work, pain, that not a lot of people want to go through. Don't get me wrong. Life happens to many different people. I'm not here to judge. But all I'm saying is the system of capitalism, the greatest system in the world that allows a guy like me who doesn't have nowhere in my life you can pinpoint to say this guy was going to win a life. Not one thing you can pinpoint. Nothing. Yeah. Not one thing you can pinpoint. That's why I believe in capitalism. Versus my family believed in communism. My family believed in socialism. Now I'm like, listen, just leave me alone. Let me see what I can do. If my market's 50, I'm good. I'm happy because I'm giving my best. If my market pays 75, I'm happy because I'm giving my best. But if I keep bringing value to the marketplace, all of a sudden an opportunity is going to come up. Yeah. And you can't predict that opportunity. All of a sudden someone's going to say, you know what? We're going to do this project. I want you to be a part of it. Here's how it's going to work out. And boom, your name pops up. What the hell just happened here? Because behind closed doors, rather than throwing the towel, you're giving your best. Capitalism works. It's those who don't work that hate capitalism, unfortunately.
You did a video.
Those who don't work and don't improve. Some say, I work my ass off, but they don't read books. It's those two criterias. You got to work, you got to improve, you got to have a decent attitude. If you have that, capitalism is going to favor you.
Strategize, outlast, you always say.
Just the first two. Just the first two. The first two will land you a good job.
You did a video that just came out on Valuetainment. It was entitled, They Will Find You.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And I think there's some symbolism right there, a metaphor for basically what you're saying. And you saw in the comments, because sometimes you'll read the comments when I'm feeling some S&M vibes. And they were like, Pat, you're the anomaly. You're lucky. Oh, hell yeah, Pat, you're the man. Great to go. Pat, you got lucky. I can't do it. I've been working my ass off.
Fine.
How do you grapple with that? Because you are the anomaly.
But that's not true, though.
But because you worked your ass off.
That's not true, though. Listen, nothing about what I said has to do with my last name. Nothing with what I said has to do with the school I went to. Nothing with what I said has to do with certain, God-giving. Nothing with what I said has to do with that. Formula is very transferable to others. I don't jump 46 inches. My name is not LeBron James, and I jump 46 inches. I'm not that guy, okay? I'm not a statistician that I can just go through some of the stats, that stuff, and I'm Ray Dalio. No, I'm not that guy. It's called work your ass off, okay? Yeah. And improve. Work your ass off. I challenge anybody to do the following. Take 4 subjects: sales, negotiation, human nature, okay? Sales, negotiation, human nature, and money. Go to Amazon. I will fund this if somebody wants to do this. You do it, you come back to me, nothing changed, I'll fund the whole cost that you had here. 4 topics. Read every book on negotiation, above 400 reviews on Amazon, that's 4+ star. Read any book that's above 4-star, 25 of them, 400 reviews on sales. Read any book on human nature, psychology, persuasion, any of that stuff. 4-star, like how to win friends, all that stuff. Then read any book on money with 400+ reviews. Read principles, like things like that by Dalio, by Buffett. And for 2 years, obsess over doing that. For 2 years, obsess over doing that. 2 years later, work your ass off and improve in a marketplace. Figure out a way to improve your attitude. Sometimes half the battle is people have some shitty, negative, unattractive attitudes. They're a crap magnet. Everything is shitty. Everything is complaining. Everything is somebody else's fault. Nobody is turned on by somebody that constantly blames somebody else. Nobody. When I was single, I would go on dates and I would talk to a girl. My last boss was a jerk. My last boss was an asshole. I said, out of your last 5 bosses, which one of them were assholes? All of them. I'm like, shit, it's not the boss's problem. It's you. It ain't no boss's problem. It's your attitude sucks.
Yeah.
Within an hour, you saw the attitude.
Right.
You read those 4 topics, 2 years. Work your ass off, come back to me 2 years from now. Matter of fact, you won't even come back to me because you forgot about it because you're killing the marketplace. The market rewards people who outwork and out-improve. It's proven. This doesn't mean you're going to be a millionaire in 2 years.
Yeah.
This doesn't mean you're going to be a billionaire in 2 years. Here's what it does mean too. Your market value is increasing. Somebody may offer you something special next 2 years. Some opportunities come up. You go into a company. How many guys, work at a company for $50,000, $60,000, $80,000? Company starts growing. Next thing you know, they're making $100,000, $150,000, $200,000. Next thing you know, they get shares. Behind closed doors, they're investing money into a 401k, retirement, whatever. Then 10 years later, company has an exit. This guy gets a $6.8 million check. How the hell did you do it?
Yeah.
It ain't that. And you know how many people have done this, by the way?
A lot.
Not 10,000. Not 100,000. Millions have done this.
What you're describing is what education was before government got involved.
Yeah.
In it.
So
you're describing what college was for hundreds of years. You're describing, the Socratic and Platonian method of education. This No Child Left Behind thing is less about educating people, and that was Bush did this. It's less about educating people, and it's, do you show up on time and are you obedient? That's all we care about in education anymore. We don't actually care about teaching anybody anything. This is why Jeff Bezos wants all of his employees to go to college. Do you show up on time? Are you obedient? Then you will graduate. Then you will move on to another school where you can, as long as you pay money and you show up on time and you're obedient, you'll get your certificate that says I'm now allowed to earn money when you're $100,000 in debt. When you're $100,000 in debt, it makes you a lot easier to control in that environment. You can't go out and take the risk that you took when you're $100,000 in debt.
I was $49,000 in debt.
Well, you're also an alpha. You're a hunter. There's a hunter-gatherer issue here. And listen, we got a show coming up where there's a big conversation between the difference between a gangster and a racketeer.
Yeah.
And a gangster can be a racketeer, but a racketeer can't be a gangster. That's the debate. I think hunters can be gatherers. I don't know if gatherers can be hunters. Then Thomas Sowell, I think, said it best.
I don't disagree, but I will tell you something. I will tell you something in that part. Here's the other part. You ready? Okay. Do you judge somebody by their friends?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you judge a guy who's got a girl? How do you judge him? Or a gal that's got a guy? Like, let's just say girl married up or a guy married up. What do you say about that guy or that gal?
Must be something about him I don't know.
It's just going to be like, you know what? Good for him. That's what I say. Legit. You're a good salesperson. Good for you. Whatever you did. And you keep him because you know how sometimes a woman marries up, but they can't keep the guy. And sometimes a man marries up, but he can't keep her. The challenge is also keeping. It's not about a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year thing. We're very quick to always blame the guy, but it's both people's jobs.
It's not about getting, it's about keeping.
It's about keeping. Anybody can get. Who hasn't gotten somebody, but can you keep them, right? That's the name of the game.
It's like in Seinfeld. Anyone can take the reservation, but can you hold the reservation?
True. Philosophy. You have to go that angle. But so going back to it. Here's what I would tell you. Going back to it. You know what I will say? This is what I will say. If you're a hunter, gatherer, whatever you may be, you're a hunter, you're a gatherer, whoever you may be, it's your job, if you're a gatherer, to team up with a hunter. And if you're a hunter, it's your job to find the right supporters. I'm not sitting here saying everybody is the same. Are you kidding me? No, I'm not saying everybody's an alpha. Not at all. I think there are people that are not alpha that are richer than alphas, though. Because there's a lot of alphas that have terrible attitude that cannot coexist around other people because they keep getting in their own way. I know a lot of alphas that keep getting in their own flipping way. Sometimes an alpha may need to step back and say, look, I get it. I can't win as a 1. I can't win as a 2, but I'm going to be the sickest freaking alpha at number 4, number 6, and I'm going to crush it. And gradually I move up. What is the whole purpose of being number 1 is that other people with personalities can coexist. If your ego is so big and you can't keep people around you, that says something about you. Not you. That says something about the individual that can't keep you. So we're on the same page. I'm not disagreeing with you. But if you're a gatherer, guess what? If you're a person that's a supporter and you read those 4 books, those 4 topics next 2 years, and then you come to an alpha and you say, you know what, Patrick, I'll tell you something. What's that? I read a book, and here's what it said in the book. I'm like, shit, I never thought about it that way. Yeah, it's here. Let me share it with you. Hey, let me tell you, I just read an article that said this about, we should do this in the company. I never thought about that before. That's also now the alpha's like, I'm not that good without that guy. Shit, I better keep that guy around. That guy knows what the hell he's doing because I don't know that kind of stuff. So there is a way to always provide value in the marketplace.
And the bigger thing here is like college, to your point, it's almost like an idiot test at this point. You're going to spend all this money when all you need is your phone and an internet, and you can read everything. It goes back to that Goodwill Hunting thing where it's like, what? I'm the idiot, but you're the guy spending $30,000 a year when all you needed was a library card at the public library, right? It's the same thing now. It's all on your phone. Yeah. You can get it. You can pay a professor $1,000 for his entire syllabus and do the work yourself. But there's not a lot of autodidacts out there. They won't actually do the work. Yeah. They won't do it.
So that's the part. The onus. I prefer to put the onus on me. That's what I always like to do. I like to put the onus on me. What could I have done differently? I can't change you, but I can sit there and say, what could I have done? So this whole thing about, well, screw the rich, screw these guys, screw those guys. Dude, look, let me transition into the Amazon story because you brought it up, and I think it has a lot to do with what we're talking about.
Real quick, Thomas Sowell, because I think you'll like this, and this goes to what they're saying. You're rich, you're rich, you're rich. Thomas Sowell has a great quote about it. It's a simple question. He goes, what percentage of somebody else's money do you deserve? What percentage of somebody else's earnings do you deserve? Who's the actual selfish one here? You did nothing. Absolutely nothing, but because this person has more than you think you deserve some of that? Like, what type of narcissist are you?
I did a video one time titled "The Ugliest Qualities." Okay, ugliest qualities. One of them was a person that constantly blames. Another one is a person that's constantly entitled. Another one's a person that's constantly playing in the victim game. You got the manipulator. You got the divider. These are all disgusting qualities. Like, I'm allergic to all of that stuff. When a person has those qualities, you can't be around me for too long. You're going to hate me. If you have any of those qualities, you're not going to like being around my presence because I'm always going to say, what could you have done differently about it? You're going to be like, what could I have done? Do you know what my mom and my dad did? Dude, I get it. I can say the same story. He's got one of the craziest father stories. He's a millionaire. How did he do it? What could you do differently about it? Well, you know what? But it's not like that. You don't know what it is to be. Okay, then at this, you're right. I don't know. I'm not even debating him. You're right. I don't know what it is to be in that situation. I don't know any about that stuff. Anyways, let me go to this. What you're talking about.
What you're saying, to put a bow on that, it's so freaking easy to come up with an excuse. It's so much harder to look in the mirror and be like, dude, get it to fucking together. Like, it's on you at the end of the day.
And
is what you're
it's even
saying.
easier when you have celebrities and politicians and people that are supposed to be our leaders being like, you know what? You're right.
You're right.
It is an evil system, and the rich are terrible. You're so they're edifying and codifying these people that are having these moments of vulnerability.
People are going to stand up, though. People are going to stand up. People have to start standing up right now, and I'm not talking about it in an asshole way. You don't need to be an asshole to stand up. But people need to stand up and have a little bit of a backbone.
Can I be a little bit of an asshole?
No, you can't because then you don't convert. And then the mission isn't converting because right now the biggest battle that's going on right now is the battle of converting. Who's going to convert better?
Yep.
It's all about who's going to convert better. What's going to help you to convert better? Being an asshole doesn't convert. It just doesn't. You can be the smartest asshole in the world. You're not going to convert nobody.
Pat,
it's what?
That's my problem with Trump.
What do you mean that's your problem with Trump?
He's not converting people.
I
think the people love him and they also hate him because he's the biggest asshole in the world.
Yeah, I don't.
And the problem is that he's not getting the people on the fence to be like, all right, I'm going to go with the asshole.
But he's a catalyst. He's a catalyst, though, and he's making people who would have sat on the sidelines get in the game.
No, they didn't. He just lost. So he lost.
Yeah, you went to a whole different angle here. We can go there if you want to. I don't mind going there.
When I think of asshole, I think of Trump.
Yeah,
and again, people love him because he's the asshole.
Half the country do. Half the country.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
but he's not converting enough to win.
But wait a minute. This guy beat Hillary Clinton.
The least liked candidate.
No. You cannot say,
ever.
Bro, are you kidding me? This guy beat a person with one of the most ridiculous qualified resumes to go in that. He's a nobody to beat Hillary Clinton.
You can't say Donald Trump is a nobody.
He's never been in politics, buddy.
That's what they loved about him.
Even Reagan was a governor before. Reagan was a president of SAG. Reagan had been in politics. Nobody's done what Trump's done. Nobody. By the way, you can't put one person.
Pat, I agree with you. But that doesn't mean he's not a freaking asshole.
I don't debate that.
Did Trump get more votes or less votes in his re-election campaign?
He converted.
Did he get more votes or less votes than when he beat Hillary?
Well, a lot more people voted.
He got a lot more votes.
Hey, I think the angle to take is the following. Here's what I would tell you about Trump's biggest challenge. You ready? Giving birth to unnecessary enemies. For what?
That ain't gonna stop.
For what? Why are you giving birth to unnecessary enemies? What's the motive there? I understand, go straight, like the way he came out with his campaign. We're having people come across that are rapists that are, fully get it. You wanted to have a blast. Everybody talks about it. Everybody invites you to the brilliant strategies, like an AOC using his strategy. Brilliant strategy.
Great marketer.
Genius. But he created unnecessary enemies. Unnecessary enemies. When the topic of discussion takes place here in Florida, and I ask, who do you want to see? Let's just say it's between DeSantis and Republican, and then and Trump. Some camp says Trump. Some camp say DeSantis. Those who say DeSantis, they say it's the same exact policies as Trump, minus the unnecessary
I've
battle.
said it before. I'd vote for DeSantis.
Well, you said
Trump.
It's
not
I and
happening.
me versus we and us. That was he made two major mistakes. He uses I and me instead of we and us.
Yeah.
And that was his major mistake.
I alone can fix it. He lost me. I was like, you're the guy. You're the Messiah.
Yeah.
It's the narcissist
in
complex.
a way-
But when a Democrat says, "Give me all your money and I'll change the weather," that doesn't bother you.
Who said that?
That's essentially what the Green New Deal is.
I don't know.
Give us 90%
Okay, I'm
taxes.
not a supporter of the
I'm just
Green New
But
Deal.
I would
So no to that as well, Gerard.
I would tell you the flip side of it. I would tell you the flip side of it. If there is the unnecessary enemies that are out to face what's going on today, you need such a strong guy. You need such a strong guy. You cannot have a lightweight guy that's going up against what's going on today. Because it's whatever Republican becomes the president next, it's going to be one of the hardest positions, jobs. They're going to destroy this guy. They're going to destroy him, the next guy. It's going to be one of the toughest jobs to have, the next person.
Do you think there will be a fair election? Honest to God.
Yes,
Even
I
in the
do.
midterms,
Yes,
do you
I
think
do.
there will be a fair
No,
election?
I don't think so. Because historically, this is part of like when he says, hey, why don't you become better at stealing and why don't you become better at manipulating the game? No, I don't think there is. I think that's part of but I don't think that's anything new. I think that's been part of election for 240.
We just have cameras on it now?
I just think it's a little bit more, you need more technology today. You need a little bit more advancement today. You need a little bit more creativity. I don't think it's going to be a fair election. No, I don't think it is. But I don't think they need to use that as an excuse to lose. I think they need to be like if you're going up against Patriots and they're watching, fine, okay, then confuse the shit out of them. But they have our playbook. I don't give a shit. Don't do the play that you're going to do. Confuse the hell out of them.
Absolutely.
So it doesn't matter what it is. They have your playbook. You still got to. Today I went to the gym in the morning. Freaking guy, man, this guy pisses me off because I go in. So when you think about drop set, what do? You do 2 plates, then you go to plate and 25, then you go to a plate. This guy does the opposite. So I go and I'm like, so hey, I want you to do this a bench with a plate on each side 15 times. Okay, cool. Pop, 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 pop. Every time I leave, my entire body hurts. I'm crying. I get in my car. I sit there. I cry for like 5 minutes by myself. I just don't want him to see it.
I'd like to get a camera on that.
So I go in. I'm like, okay, let's start. Do this 15 times. I'm like, I don't know where this guy's going to go. He's the most unpredictable trainer I've ever had.
Yeah.
You feel good? Good. All right, let's put some more weight on it. 5-second break. I'm like, no, you're supposed to go. He said, no, just push it. Push it. Push it. And he doesn't say push it 8 times. Push it 15 times. I can't push it 15 times. Yes, you can. Go. So I'm going 10. 5 more. So I'm like, we're done, right? Put some more weight. Go. This doesn't make any sense, but he's shocking the body. Politicians have to be doing that.
Stop shifting blame onto the other people. You can do the 15,
seriously,
man.
it's over with.
Enough it. Look in the mirror and make it happen.
I'm just being a little baby right now. But I tell you, man, I feel amazing with what this guy's doing.
We're happy that you're doing this in the morning now. It's
amazing.
great.
So Amazon offers to pay college fees of 750,000 frontline U.S. workers. This is a Guardian story. Amazon is the latest big U.S. firm to offer education-focused perks to workers after Walmart, Target, and Kroger. The company, which is investing $1.2 billion in the scheme by 2025, said it would cover the cost of college tuition fees and textbook for U.S. hourly staff after 90 days of employment for as long as they remain at Amazon. Amazon is now the largest job creator in the U.S. We know that investing in free skills training for our teams can have a huge impact of hundreds of thousands of families across the country. In May, Amazon said it would hire 750,000 workers across its warehouse and delivery network in U.S. and Canada. The company hired around 500,000 staff last year. Thoughts on this? I have an opinion on this. I'm curious to know what you guys think about this.
Yeah, I think it goes to show exactly what I was saying before. Like Amazon, the idea behind becoming like a factory worker was it was, a good job, but it's an entry-level job. It's a job that you move up from. And, even we talked to Vanessa, who was one of our producers here, that the Amazon jobs, $17 an hour, and then you go up to $17.25. You work your 12-hour shifts. So if the idea for them, I don't think that they would outprice their own labor. The idea of college, or in theory, a college education or higher education, is to make you worth more in the job marketplace. So Amazon's not going to make itself its own employees more expensive. I think this goes to show what they think more than anything, what Bezos thinks of modern education, where he needs more disciplined employees. He needs employees that are clocking in, clocking out, listening, they're being obedient. I think that our modern education system doesn't breed thinkers and entrepreneurs. I think it breeds factory workers.
Okay, Adam?
And he wants them to work in the factory. Well, look, I don't have such a negative twist on this. I think it's impressive that, or whether it's PR, whether it's for the good of society, whether they want a more educated workplace, whether they want them to be obedient, whatever it is, the Amazons of the world, the Targets of the world, the Walmarts of the world, the Krogers of the world, I think this is a net positive for people, educating them, paying for their school. They're not graduating with debt. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
The question here, we kind of brought this up earlier, is this might attract talent, but will this keep the talent? I know you could take the reservation, but can you hold the reservation? So what's going to happen to these people? They work for them. They go to school. They become, get a degree in whatever, economics, psychology.
Accountability is going to be the challenge.
Are they going to stay with Amazon? Are they going to stay with Walmart? What are you going to do?
It's a form of accountability. So in the military, when they give GI Bills, a lot of guys will be like, shit, I'm not going to go to school, but I have to take 12 units for me to get my $1,200 a month, right? And guys would take the 12 units and never show up, but the military would keep paying the check because the requirement was the 12 units, not the grades. They didn't give a shit what your grades were. They cared the fact that you just show that you have 12 units. So Amazon's going to have to figure out a way to have an accountability system. I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't know if they're going to require a GPA passing or using it, abusing it. So eventually someone's going to get pissed and they're not paying much bullshit. They're not doing that. But in reality, that guy wasn't he was trying to use, it's going to end up backfiring on these guys in the next 2 years. Let me go to the next section.
Yeah.
Here's the second part. I think it's a great idea. The fact that they're doing it, awesome. That's part of capitalism. Let a company be willing to create a social program for the people rather than putting it on the taxpayers that don't need to pay somebody else's problem. So Amazon is saying, look, we'll take care of the social program. Amazon becomes a small little government that's taking care of the employees. Check, phenomenal job. Third, the company across the street that hires warehouse workers, he's getting screwed because he's going to have that tough conversations with his employees, and they're going to come up to him and say, hey, Amazon's offering me full ride scholarship. If I go there and do that, I had a 2.0 GPA, no one ever gave me a full ride scholarship. Now I can go and say, I got a full ride scholarship from Amazon. Kind of sounds cool, right, to be able to say that. If you're willing to give me the scholarship, I'll stick around as well. The guy's like, dude, I can't get. They just raised the minimum wage to $15. I can't afford to pay you $22,000 a year for schooling. That means a $35,000 your employee officially become a $57,000. I can't afford that. I just can't. Listen, Johnny, I love you. You have no idea how much I love working for you, but dude, I'm going to go get that job at Amazon. So elimination of competition at the highest level. All right. Again, capitalism, competitiveness, fine. Here's what I would do if I was Amazon, though. There's no way in the world if I'm Amazon, I'm sending my guys to other universities. No way. I'm going to start an Amazon university.
Yeah.
I'm going to go recruit 1,000 professors and teachers from other universities, giving them 10% bonus on top of what they're doing, maybe a 20% bump. If you're getting 80 grand, I'm going to give you 96. If you're making 60, I'm going to give you 72. If you make it 100, I'm going to give you 120. Come to Amazon University. I would gradually start recruiting the best professors away to work for Amazon University. That would be the strategy on what to do. Then from there, it is what it is. Because at this point, what are you going to be doing? These people are still going to go out there. And so the challenge with that is, are you going to be able to pull universities at all these different places? It's going to be tough because it's physical. It's not like they can travel to a place to be at the headquarters, do an online university. Is that what's going to? So that's the kind of challenge. But I would do my own university, not the other way around.
The devil's in the details too. You're right, because maybe this is a military type situation where you're not getting it done when you're working at Amazon. Maybe you have to guarantee Amazon 8 years to get them paid off or something. Maybe it's like a 10-year. If you're with Amazon for 10 years, you're going to pay it off. I don't know the details of it, but I have a very, very hard to believe feeling like you're right. I have, like, you could go to Pepperdine for $75,000 a year, and Amazon's going to pay for that, or are they going to have like a select?
It has to be a system of accountability. Go ahead, Kai.
Pat, also one thing that I was thinking about was obviously what's the one thing that Amazon has had a lot of trouble with the last times we've mentioned them in the podcast. Obviously, maintaining people, having them work there long enough. and not burning through people. So
high turnover.
I quickly looked up what is the average tenure for somebody at a fulfillment center. Want to make any guesses?
1
1 year.
months. Oh, was it that long?
How long?
Yeah, 1 year.
Really?
They were saying that
Wow.
was it. So if you're looking at 90 days, that's what, 3 months of just before you can even be eligible. At that point, it's a competitive advantage of keeping them staying there longer than a year, because college is what, 3 to 4 years. So if they can bump up that rate, then obviously you're paying pennies on the dollar to keep people working, because training someone in the hiring process is what often costs a lot of money. So if you can avoid that money's made up on the back end.
And that's another great point Kai just made. 3 to 4 years college. It's really 4 to 5 if you're going full time now. So if you're working full time in Amazon, college might take you 6-7 years.
Yeah.
Kai, you might want to turn that off. I don't know if you did or not.
They're not letting you go, is what you're saying. You're going to be there for a while.
I just don't think Jeff Bezos is the most altruistic human being on earth. I see an ulterior motive.
He's
here.
better than Stalin, though.
I don't know.
No, Stalin was better than him, apparently.
I don't know if I even go there, because, like, let's just say I think he's so logical that he's like, this is going to cost us a couple $2 billion. Screw it. We'll write it off and we'll use it as marketing cost and marketing out. Instead of advertising, we're going to use this. It's fine. We can afford it. I think he's so logical that, like, even the guy never got the gift of gab. He comes off after going to space, comes back and says, I just want to thank all the employees for funding this. You paid for all of this. It's like, okay, if there's a million different ways to word it, that was definitely the one way you shouldn't have worded it, but it is what it is.
But it's not just Amazon. It's Walmart. It's Kroger. It's Target. All these major warehouse-type factory companies that are employing ridiculous amounts of Americans are following suit, right? So there's something
that's great.
I think it's great.
What I'm trying to tell you is I think that's great, because anytime capitalists create social programs, that lowers taxes, because the capitalist is taking the job off of that and they're doing it themselves. If you left it alone, this would have happened by itself anyways. If we had a flat tax, imagine if we had a flat tax, okay? Flat tax 10%. If we had a 10% flat tax, we give that to the government. Let's just say for military. And everybody else keeps another 15%. What the hell do you think banks would do with that, or these companies would do with that? You think they're just going to sit on the cash? No, it would be so competitive that people would be forced to have universities, childcare, daycare, all these other activities.
That would be amazing if there was a flat
It would
tax.
happen.
Steve Forbes ran on that
but people
1996.
in America still believe that government employees, politicians, use money better than people in private business do. So it is what it is. They trust politicians with no experience in business to spend your money better than the people that actually ran business that do it on a daily basis. It's fascinating.
What the
to
hell's
think
going
about.
on
Did
here,
I ever
Pat?
tell you my? Did I ever tell you
lose my shit.
my education reform idea that got me kicked out of a brainstorm meeting with
that?
Christie? There was a big problem with this thing called Abbott districts in New Jersey, where low-income, high-risk schools get an insane amount of money. But it's really just a slush fund. It's just like, so, a general contractor will donate, $10 million to a campaign, and then, Newark Shabazz School needs a new pool. It's $30 million. Who gets the contract? The contractor, right? The pool doesn't even get filled up because there's an insurance issue. There's a giant pool in Newark Shabazz that doesn't even work, right? It's a long story. The average student in New Jersey, when I was there, was like $17,000 a year, and Abbott districts were like $36,000 per student. And they were like, okay, let's brainstorm ideas. Like, how can we do education reform? Bring the cost down, but not hurt the students. Because the whole point of the Abbott district was it was supposed to help these students. But after like 30 years of twice the money, the graduation rates had actually dropped in the high-risk areas, Trenton, Camden, Newark, right? So they're going back and forth, do this, do that. And I literally just said, why don't we just give the money to the kids? If you graduate, you get $20,000. That's it. Give the money. And I got laughed out of the room. I was like, what? It's a scholarship. Give it to them in a scholarship.
Yeah.
Give it to them. If you're going to spend this money on the kids, give it to them. It'll circulate back in the economy. Oh, they won't know what to do with it. I'm like, I feel like the way to incentivize these guys, they're making more money on the street.
I just so you know, I wouldn't do it the way Amazon's doing it. Mine wouldn't be the way they're doing it. The way I would be doing it would be a tier system. Here's what my tier system would be. You come back with your grades based on the GPA that you keep and maintain. It will be a tier system. You may make more than others do. I may pay you more than what your minimum was. So if a person is doing better at a university with better grades, I'm going to pay you maybe $5,000 more per year than the other person that's not. I'm not going to do it this way. You first get the results, then you get the
like
money.
A meritocracy.
You don't give them the
Amazon.
money and then you get the results. That's an accountability nightmare.
Like
you
a
just
parent.
You get the money, then you get the power,
it's
then
like
you get the education.
When you were a kid, I'm sure you guys did
always
it too. If you got
thinking
an A, your dad gave you $5. If you got a B, your dad gave you
hungry,
$1. If you got a C, your dad gave you a whooping. That's the way it was.
Can we give Janet Yellen some love here? Janet's been waiting. Let's give Janet Yellen some love. Janet Yellen warns of a possible October default on U.S. debt swollen by the pandemic. This is a New York Times story. The United States could default on its debt sometime in October if Congress does not take action to raise or suspend the debt limit. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen warned on Wednesday the extraordinary measures that the Treasury Department has been employing to finance the government on a temporary basis since August 1st will be exhausted next month. Yellen said in a letter to lawmakers, once all available measures and cash on hand are fully exhausted, the United States of America would be unable to meet its obligations for the first time in our history. I like that. Yellen said that a default would cause irreparable harm to the U.S. economy and to global financial markets, and that even coming close to defaulting could be harmful. Maybe that's not a bad idea for us to actually see how fake of an economy we have. Maybe let's find out for about 30 days how fake our economy is. Maybe let's find out what's really going on. Listen, and this is coming from a guy, I just bought a big house. Can you imagine my property value drops 25%? If that's the number, fine, do it. Let's find out how fake the current economy is.
Burn it down. Let's not do that.
No, but wait a minute. Why not? Yeah. How long can we manage fake? Do you realize we're funding this fake? We're funding all this fakeness. We're funding all of this fakeness. Interest rates staying low for as long as they have. First time in the history of America, it's funding fake economy.
In the words of Richard Nixon, we're all Keynesians now.
There is nothing good about what they're doing right now. It's just temporary catastrophe because they're worried about whether they're going to get reelected or not. Yeah. And by the way, that's not a left or right thing. That's both of them. Mm-hmm. Neither one of them wants the economy to get back to being real because that president will be a one-term president. But American voters have to be thinking about what's more important, a fake economy that eventually the whole thing explodes, or let's kind of settle down a little bit.
Let me ask you, Pat. Yeah. Every year there's this, like, raise the debt ceiling, we're going to default. Yeah. Like every year it happens. Every year it happens. Yeah. What's different this time around? Is there something different? Obviously, with the printing of money, $5 trillion over the last 2 years. Is it different? Is it the same? Oh my God, the sky's falling, and then at the last second, the superhero comes in and saves it. What's different this time?
What's different is they want to pass a $3.5 million budget by September 27th. You want to ask that? Let me go to page 8, Joe Manchin. Mm-hmm. You brought this up. Let's just read what Joe has to say about this. So let's see Joe Manchin says there's no way to pass a $3.5 billion budget bill. Trillion dollar budget bill by September 27th. A CNBC story. Notice what she said. She said what? By the end of the month is what she said, right? By the end of the month, we have to figure out a way to address this by the end of the month, right? Exhaust it next month. So now Joe says, no way we're going to pass this $3.5 trillion, adding that there's no way to meet the September 27 deadline set by Democrats. Manchin's comments come as lawmakers work to approve the measures which would invest in climate policy and expand social programs, including child care and health care, without the support of Republicans who have opposed the proposed tax increases to fund it. We've already put out $5.4 trillion, and we've tried to help Americans in every possible way we can. And a lot of help that we've put out there is still there, and it's still going to run clear until next year, 2022. So what's the urgency? What's the urgency that we have? It's not the same urgency that we had with the American Rescue Plan, he said. This is Manchin saying this. So you asked the question, Manchin just answered it for you. They're trying to push to get that $3.5 trillion.
Look at what they've done. Look at what they've done. They shut your business down. They bankrupted you for 18 months. Now they're going to raise your taxes higher than they've ever raised them until everybody in America is paying 50% of their freaking money to things that they don't want, and they're devaluing the dollars that you already have. So not only did they shut you down and give all your money to their donors, but now they're going to raise your taxes so what little hope you have left disappears, and your money, save that money, is going to be halved. What is the value of the dollar in 10 years? This is insane. What we're doing is pure insanity. This is like, this is a theft the likes of which, this is a wealth transfer the likes of which we've never seen in our lifetime. Like, I can't even believe people are going along with this. Like, think of those three things. These are incontrovertible facts. Again, this is not left. This is not right. This is reality.
Both sides are doing it.
They shut you down.
It's not a left or right.
They devalued your dollar, and now they're stealing your future earnings.
But it's guys, there's nothing worse than fake success, because the fall is unbelievably painful. You know what's fake success? Like, you know how the boxer, you know the scene where Rocky's like, you know, when Mickey says, you know, dude, this guy's going to hurt you. When he's facing against who? The Clever Lang, right? Mm-hmm. Like, this guy's going to do this. You're not at this guy's. So what are you talking about? I can beat him. He says, no, you can't. You're not ready for it. Because sometimes behind, like boxers, what do? They only put people in front of their boxer because they're trying to build the guy's confidence. But the trainer kind of knows this guy cannot fight with the number 1, number 2, or number 3. You ain't that good. I'm just trying to protect you, right? To kind of get a test for it. We've been faking it as if America's economy is bulletproof. It's not. It's not. They have to kind of bring you back and realize, like, do you realize how many things that are common sense we're starting to question whether we're right or wrong? Let me say that one more time. How many things that are common sense? Mm-hmm. What's common sense? Dude, don't go into debt more than you can afford. But we're like, no, but we should, because that's what we're supposed to do. Let's keep printing money, and it's going to decrease the value of U.S. dollar. Not necessarily because people say it's not going to. Tell me a time in history that anything you overprinted, the value of that went up. Mm-hmm. Tell me.
Show your work one time.
But the point is, we, as the populace, are questioning ourselves. Like the whole gaslighting deal, we're getting destroyed with gaslighting right now. You're starting to question like normal things. Am I really that dumb? Mm-hmm. Am I like, maybe I'm not as smart as these guys at this level. Maybe Yellen is at a whole different level than I am. Maybe I don't have the intelligence of what these guys are. Maybe I should just shut up and say, well, these guys know what they're doing and I don't. You're right. Let's keep printing money. You're right. Let's keep doing this. You're right. Let's keep doing that. No, I think common sense, people need to go back to common sense. This is not technical math. This is common sense math. Mm-hmm. It's not extremely technical. If you keep printing anything, the value goes down. Period. It just does. And they keep doing it. Anyways.
So what do you think they should actually do? 0? Should they? Is there a number that they should come up with? Is it 1 trillion?
What did you ever quit that you were cold turkey? What did you ever quit that you were cold turkey on? Did you ever quit anything cold turkey? Like you're like, I was smoking weed, and then all of a sudden, next time, I'm like, I'm done.
Chewing tobacco.
I was drinking alcohol. The next day, I said, I'm done drinking alcohol.
Nah, luckily, I've never had those problems. But I know you stopped drinking hard liquor.
Yeah, but chewing tobacco, I went cold turkey, yeah.
You did go cold turkey? How did you do alcohol?
What do you mean?
Like, did you go cold turkey with alcohol?
Hard alcohol?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I used to drink a lot. Now I'm down to like, a couple beers on a Friday. That's pretty much it.
Okay, but that's not cold turkey though.
No, I'm talking, the only thing I ever did cold turkey was chewing tobacco.
Okay, so the point I'm trying to make to you is you don't have to go cold turkey with this. Mm-hmm. You don't have to go from 1% to 6%. No, you put a plan and you manage expectation. Every quarter, the interest rates are going up 0.25% the next 4 years.
I just want people to realize.
So guess what you do? If you say every quarter the rates are going up 0.25%, the populace is sitting there saying what? Fine, it's good because it's getting me to be prepared that in the next 4 years I can't be going around thinking I'm big shotting anything. No, this is kind of what it's looking like. Every quarter we're going through this. Every quarter we're going through this, rather than this. Yeah, we still can't. No, we still can't. We still can't manage expectations.
So should we change the election cycles then? Instead of 2 4-year terms, should a president be a 1 8-year term? Should we get rid of re-elections? The only way to do that is with foresight. I mean, so much of what we're doing now is dependent on election cycles, and I think that's kind of why
I'm not a fan of the elections.
Or term limits. I think is a little bit more realistic than election.
Voting
cycles.
is supposed to be term limits. I mean, we are supposed to be the term limits. So sometimes, look, you could put
but the Federal
anybody
Reserve,
where Pelosi is, they're going to win.
But the Federal Reserve is its own standalone. Mm-hmm. So to me, Federal Reserve,
it's not even a government agency.
I know it's not. The Federal Reserve needs to be standalone and make its own. Here's what we're doing over the next 8 years. Mm-hmm. So the voter, like, let's just say, if the president's running and the president says the following, says, listen, guys, I don't control Federal Reserve. That's not my job. So whatever happened with the interest rates, I know it kind of affected the market. I can't change that because it's out of my jurisdiction.
Sure.
The Federal Reserve has one job in place, is to make sure we become as close to as debt-free as possible, and it maintains the economy in a proper way that keeps growing, right? Healthy economy.
And employment as well.
Yeah, employment as well. So I think if they set that part aside to say, This is its own person that gets voted by the people. You know, somebody that we even elect for federal, because it's a big decision maker, maybe even more powerful than a president sometimes, right? So if we did that and a person said, yeah, President Biden, President Trump, you don't have any jurisdiction over me on what we do here. You can give feedback, but this is what we're doing. The interest rates is going to go up 0.25% every quarter over the next 8 years. And we're going to try to hover around 3%. Whatever, pick a number. I'm just making up a number there for you. But staying the way we are right now, one more month, one more quarter. Yeah. One more quarter. This is not an effective
Staying
way
at zero, we can't maintain.
No way. No way.
But I do want to.
Why is that important, by the way? Why is it so important to get up to a normal level?
How do you pay off debt in your personal life? Do you all of a sudden?
What do you mean? You just raise your debt ceiling?
You can't do that, though. You can't do that. Do you understand what he just said? Like, it's a joke, but you can't do that, right? You hey, can we raise my credit card limit? I'm in debt $40,000. Like, if you call, actually think about it. You got a credit card with $10,000. You're at $10,000. You call MBNA. You call Amex. You call this government and say, hey, I know I'm in debt $10,000. My credit card limit is $10,000. Do you guys mind to help me my credit score increase my limit to $20,000 because it's hurting my credit score? Yeah. You tell me what Discover, Amex, or Visa or MasterCard is going to tell you. They're going to say, I'm sorry, what? Somebody should actually do this and say, but presidents do that. Why can't I do that?
Okay, that's raising the maximum capacity of the debt. You're talking about raising the interest rates from 0 to 0.25 to 100 basis points or whatever it is.
Adam.
But why is it important? Why is it important to raise them?
If your basement is flooded, if your basement is flooded, it doesn't matter how many additions you put onto the house, the basement's still flooded. That's what he's saying. No matter how many times you address the debt, right? You're not addressing the deficit. You have to get rid of the water that's flooding your basement. Putting an addition on the house doesn't get rid of that.
I'm 1,000% with you on why you don't want debt in your life. I'm with you, but why is raising the interest rate important? Meaning, why do you want to get to 3%?
Yeah.
As an example.
Look,
I understand that concept about not having debt. I get it. I'm talking about the interest rates.
When the interest rates are low, anything that you finance, the value of it is higher because it's free money.
Right.
Like right now, everybody who's a businessman, who's running a company, if they can get a line from the government for $1 billion debt, go get it. Everyone's doing it.
Leverage through
if you can get $100 million.
Same thing at 1%.
It's nothing.
Right.
You're paying nothing.
Same thing at 2%.
Money is so cheap today.
I get it.
So this is why you see.
Qualify.
You know how you see certain people.
Only the rich can qualify.
Right.
People that are buying 1 house, 2 house, 3 house, 4 house, 5 house, 6 house, 7, 8, 9. Dude, this guy got 6 Ferraris in the garage. Got 9 Lamb. I remember a guy back in 2005. He had 4 different Rolls Royce, same exact Phantom, parked outside of his house. Everybody would go to this guy and say, look, this guy's freaking rich as hell. But no income, no asset, anything you can finance for nothing. The moment 08 came around, the market tanked 38%. Not only did he lose all his Rolls Royce, he lost the 2 houses. He owed the government $5 million and he didn't know how to pay for it. But that needed to be filtered out.
Of course.
So the interest rates makes everything eventually be worth what it's worth. A guy buys a house right down here. I looked at this house. We went and looked at it. We left the house. It looked like a 50 Shades of Grey house. The guy ends up buying it for $17 million. The next month after he buys it for $17 million, he puts it on the market for $31 million. He just raised the price to $32 million. Someone's about to buy that thing for $30 million. Insane. In 4 months, he bought it from $17 million. He's going to sell it for $30 million. That doesn't make any sense.
Good purchase right there.
He didn't do nothing to the house. Right. The house, like nothing to the house.
Here's ultimately my question, and I want to get your advice on this. You remember back in the 80s, interest rates on mortgages were like 12%.
Yeah.
Let me say that again. Interest rates on mortgages were like 12%.
It's the great Jimmy Carter era.
Everything was going insane. Well, even when Reagan was there, it was all throughout the 80s.
He lowered it.
It started to lower, it started to taper off, but even up to the 90s, it was at double digits almost. The point is this.
It comes from the Community Reinvestment Act.
I said up until the 90s, all throughout the 80s. But the point is this, what's the sweet spot? You're saying use 3% as an example. Obviously, 0 is no good, and obviously you don't want to be spending 10% on a mortgage payment, on your interest on your... Is there a number that you have in mind is what I'm asking? You said...
It changes from time to time, though, man. Like, I mean, it's like asking how much brake do you need? It's like, well, if you're going 25 miles an hour, you need this much brake. If you're going 95 miles an hour, you need a little more brake, you know? I mean, it's subject to the times.
Double digit wasn't in the 90s. It was 84.
I said through the 80s up till 90.
But the Carter's last year was 16.39.
Crazy.
And we got elected, it was 5.54. So he took it from 5.54.
The prime rate?
He took the average yield from 5.54 to 16%. CDs were paying 14, 15, 16% at the time.
By the way,
no
everything
CDs were paying 16%.
Yeah, of course.
That's what I'm saying. It's insane. But the conversation they're having right now, this is the type of stuff that they don't teach you in school. This is what I talk about all the time.
But
you talked about getting books, books on negotiations, getting books on sales, getting books on how money works. Interest rates is a major part of it.
I think I think what you're teaching is necessary. I think that concept is necessary.
Yeah, but even this is stuff that this is macroeconomics,
but
the U.S. GDP.
But it's not though. Just go to that visual. Just think about. Like I said, what's tall? You said, I don't think 6 is tall, 6 tall. I said, why do you think that? Because everything's always, I'm not good enough. We always have that mentality. I'm not rich enough. I'm not successful enough. I'm not tall enough. I'm not strong enough. It's always the guy that's a little bit more stronger that's strong, right? We're always kind of think that way. And then internally we're confident, but I don't know maybe about this. It's not. If you called your credit card company and you said, I got $10,000 credit card with $10,000, I max it out. Can you give me another limit for 10 grand? What's the credit card company going to say to you? Actually, tell me what you think they're going to say to you. They're going to say, what the hell is wrong with you?
Well, the credit card companies will probably say, sure, buddy, keep charging
They will not do that. No, to give you additional 10? You give an additional 10 to somebody that doesn't know how to handle their money? No. You don't do that. You know when
Francis might have given you another 10.
You know
points.
You know when I got a ton of credit? Is when I don't need any credit.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to raise your limit to 100,000. Cool. But you know
Thanks,
what?
bro,
If we're going to raise it to 200,000, for what though? But it's cool. I'll take it.
But you have to spend $10,000 a month.
Yeah, but the point I'm trying to make to you is this stuff is not as complicated. What the politicians are famous for doing is to convince the populace that they're smarter than them and let them make the decision for them. No. These are regular people just like you. Okay? These are regular people. They just decided to go get their job to be a politician, and they're on TV, and just because you're on TV, people think you're smart because you're on TV.
I do agree with you that we need to stop glorifying politicians, left and right.
If I could for a second, all right, because we kind of brushed over this, but I think this is very important for people to hear. They are basically with this Re-Infrastructure Act trying to make an effective 50% tax rate for all Americans. Essentially is what they're going for, okay? So just understand, people listening at home, okay, especially my blue collar people, you're sitting in traffic an hour to get to work. You don't get paid for that, all right? Then you're going to go to work. Half of you work a job you don't want to work in, but you need to because you have responsibilities and you're a dutiful person. So 8 hours of your day, you do that. Then you sit in traffic another hour home. 10 hours of your day. Then you see your family for 3 hours, you go to sleep. Okay, so 10 hours away from your family, doing a job you probably don't want to do, sitting in traffic you don't want to sit in. Under this, you've got to understand what taxes are. That means you will not earn $1. You will not actually earn any money for you or your family, not January, not February, not March, not April, not May, not June. Until July 1st, you are a wage slave to the government that just left $85 billion worth of stuff behind for the Taliban. That's how much they care about the hours of your life. That's how much they care about your money, your tax dollars that they're going to raise, that they just left $85 billion for the Taliban to use as Christmas toys, okay? And now they want more of your life. Stop looking at it as money, folks. I beg you. Stop looking at it as money. This is hours of your life that they are stealing from you.
Yeah, I mean, that brings it back to a very good visual for people to be thinking about. So let's go to page number 7. College students chant F Joe Biden at football games. Okay, is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? So page 7, college football fans have taken to chanting F Joe Biden in the stands. This is during games. And Saturday marked the second straight weekend of presidential taunts. Old Rose Sports identified at least 4 instances of the chants F Joe Biden at college games during the weekend of September 4, 2021, the chants broke out at Coastal Carolina University, Virginia Tech, Auburn University, and Texas A&M. The chant broke out again amid the student section of the Auburn-Alabama State game on September 11. Donald Trump Jr. predicted that this trend will continue. He said the Biden presidency has gotten so bad that the media can't run cover for him anymore. Even at this last week's 9/11 event that took place, do you know Barack Obama spoke? Do you know Joe Biden spoke? I'm sorry, do you know President Bush spoke? You know who didn't speak this week?
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden didn't speak this week. And they say it's one of 2 reasons. Republicans are saying he didn't speak because everybody was going to boo him and he was going to get destroyed. Like, the fact that their team doesn't want to say anything. Even Democrats are saying they just thought it wouldn't be a good look for him to talk right now. It's better off for him to just kind of take it easy. But what do you think about these chants? Chanting your president, F. Joe Biden. Is this a good thing? Is this a bad look? What do you think?
And I'm going to remove my any biases whatsoever, but the same shit was happening at different places regarding Donald Trump 2 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, LeBron called him a chump.
Okay, so let's stop making this a big... I'm not saying we are, but cool, drunk college kids in the South are screaming or F. Joe Biden. Cool. Liberals in Boston were doing the same thing for Trump. This is such a non-story for me. It's the same thing that happened a few years ago.
Is it a good thing, though? Or is it irrelevant? It's like freedom of speech, do it. If you want to do it, go for it. Who gives a shit? Okay, got it.
Drunk college kids in the South at a football game.
Do you have a strong, different opinion?
Look, man, I think what you're seeing, again, is the stratification of... Look, when you have Xi Jinping Biden get on air on Thursday and threaten the entire country, he gets on and he threatens duly elected, fairly elected governors. If you won't do what I say, and if you won't subjugate your citizens in the way I demand, I will get you out of the way. My patience is wearing thin. This isn't about your freedom. You know what? Double barrel 2 of these to you, Xi Jinping Biden. And I'm saying this as a guy that hated George Bush. I know everybody thinks I'm like a right-wing guy on this, but I hated George Bush. To me, George Bush was the second worst president of all time behind Buchanan. Buchanan is the worst president of all time by far. All right, he let the country fall apart. He basically gave up in his in his term. He was like, screw it, I don't want to deal with this. And he let the country rip in half. Thank God for Abraham Lincoln following him, okay? Then Bush inherits a surplus and turns it into a deficit and gets us into a war that costs us $300 million a day. George Bush inherited a surplus. People don't want to give Clinton credit. We left us with a surplus. Okay,
him and Newt.
We're talking about Janet Yellen raising. We had a surplus in our lifetime. Like, it's like we act like this is insane.
By the way, that's why I became, I guess, a fan of Democrats. I thought Clinton was a G, and I was a fan.
And Bush was objectively horrible, and the fact that Bush speaks at 9/11 doesn't sit with me very well either, to be honest with you. But listen,
you can't say that. Pat is a big fan of George Bush. He's friends with him.
God bless him.
They write letters to each other. Pat would probably have a different opinion.
George Bush needs to...
You did meet George W. Bush. You did think he was a great guy.
But listen, this is not about whether I get along with anybody I agree or disagree with. For the most part, I get along with anybody. It doesn't matter. I sit down, I can talk to anybody. No, this isn't about that. This is about... Is this a good idea for this to be taking place? For me, it tells me a couple different things. I've never liked it to get to that point. Never, to make that be okay. I was so furious when, what's his name said, hey, chump, he wasn't going to come anyways. No, when he said, hey, chump, he wasn't going to come anyways. And LeBron called the president, hey, chump. And Durant said, I'm not going to the White House. And then Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman went back and forth. And Will Cain disagreed with both of them. Will Cain ended up getting fired. Now he's got a job at Fox News. Anyways, I'm not a fan of what's going on here. But what it does tell you is the following.
Wait, because it's disrespectful, or?
Will Cain said, you should respect the office. Yeah, but these guys are like, well, Anyways, here's where I go with this. What I go with this is demographics, marketing. It tells you who the NBA fan is, who the audience is. It tells you what college football is. College football is a conservative fan base, if that's what they're saying.
Well, in the South, Pat,
by the way, these are not small markets.
Virginia, Texas A&M.
I'm sorry, you're not
these
talking
are
about
universities, though, bro.
Virginia Tech is not a Republican university, buddy. Virginia Tech, you're saying, is a Republican university?
No, I'm just saying it's in the South. Auburn University, Coastal Carolina.
Oh, it's in the South. It doesn't matter. It's not L.A.
You're saying drunk.
Wait. So to you, a university in the South, automatically everybody's going to be categorized?
Everybody in the South is stupid and everything.
That's not what I'm saying, Gerard.
No, it's in the South. It's in the South. We can disregard it.
Are we not aware of the South usually votes Republican? You're a smart guy. You know this already.
Well, university is different because university, people don't go to university from the city there. And people come from all across the country. So it's not like it's... Yeah.
Asheville, every city in the South is a try-too-hard blue city.
All I'm saying to you is it's the audience that's doing it. It's interesting. That's all I'm saying. The audience that's doing it is interesting. I've never been a fan. I don't care if it's Joe, Trump. I don't think.
I know we got to wrap up here.
Yeah.
I want to get your. We can obviously do Monday Morning Quarterback next time. Something we've been talking about for over a year now. The Gavin Newsom recall is today.
Yep.
Do you have any strong feelings or prognostications on this?
There's a lot of things you're hearing from both sides. The one side is saying there's no way it's going to happen. Obama, Pelosi, everybody showed up to save Newsom. Everybody's commenting. On the other side, Larry Elder, California has 5 million more Democrats than Republicans. You need to know the stats on that as well. In the recall side, a bunch of Republicans that were going and voting, they said, you already voted. Like, I didn't vote. And so this lady's asking, 5 other ladies that were in the voting place, like, did you guys, it said I voted, but I didn't vote. Are you Democrat or Republican? We're Republican. Well, wait a minute, you're Republican and said the machine that you already voted? Yeah, but we didn't vote. So, again, going back to some of the stuff that's taking place there, you think they're going to let Newsom...
Well,
there's only 2 times this has happened in the history of America, I think. One of them is Davis, and the other one is some I don't know who the other person was.
Maybe we have Governor... Meet Kevin Paffrath on again when he went. Him and Gerard might go to lunch.
I think him and Gerard need to do a podcast together.
We'll do a podcast right outside of one of his super happy, fun time concentration camps.
I think he's necessary for California, FYI.
Real quick, I know you got to leave. You actually asked an incredible question yesterday. If Tupac was alive today, 50th birthday was yesterday, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
Where do you think Tupac would stand today in today's? He was very loud.
I think he'd be one of the biggest voices in America. I think he'd be one of the biggest voices. But he would either be an AOC type of person, because he could be an AOC type of person. So. I see that happen. But depends. If he made a lot of wealth, he may be a Jay-Z type of person. I just don't think for Tupac.
He would definitely be a BLM type of person.
Definitely.
Yeah.
100%. So I think he'd be very BLM, and I think he'd be very, very AOC until this moment. He's so anti-authority, and he is so anti-establishment. I think this last 18 months... Would have kind of
pissed him off.
Something, and he could have been a catalyst.
You got to realize, he also said a lot of stuff about his own side. So he wasn't one that was afraid to push back on his own community. He was not one that...
he would be a very interesting person.
Well, there is a chance...
Are you kidding me? The song he wrote about...
Hit Him Up?
Not Hit Him Up. The song
Brenda's
he wrote
Got
about...
a Baby?
Brenda's Got a Baby? I mean, that's talking about the community. Yeah. Anyways, I got to go.
There is
No,
a chance
I can't
he's
do
still
this.
alive.
I got to go. I got to go.
They got money for war, but
are we doing this Thursday? Thursday, we're doing this again. And Thursday, we're having a special guest, Chaz Palminteri from Bronx Tale, is going to be here this Thursday on the podcast.
Amazing.
Make sure you put that as a reminder. Same time again this Thursday with Chaz Palminteri to talk more about his life, his story, as well as Mafia States of America. Take care. If you enjoyed the podcast, thumbs up and give us a subscribe. We're about to get to 100,000. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye.